4 drivers, 1 championship. A whole season's full of work comes down to one night. It's been a West Bay Napa Auto Parts playoffs full of drama, intrigue, and of course, upset winners. But tonight, the Phoenix 200 will decide who wins the 2020-2021 championship for the Northwest Cup Series. Welcome to LSR TV's coverage of the Phoenix 200 from the virtual Phoenix Raceway in Avondale, Arizona for tonight's coverage of the Northwest Racing Series and its Cup Series. It's the West Bay Napa Auto Parts Championship 4. Justin Prince alongside Greg Rentz will be also joined in a few moments by Wesley Owen in the pit lane, while Charles Wooden is in the director's seat for tonight's action. It's been a full season's work that all comes down to tonight, Greg. The championship comes down to 4 drivers to decide who comes away with the title.
And what a championship 4 we have. 2 of the strongest drivers in the season all year long, with Sean Brightsman and Seth Frazier, each with 5+ wins. Brightsman led the series in wins this year, but he had to get in with a win at Texas. Then you have Dan Lowther, punched his ticket to the playoffs at the last possible second with a win at Talladega in must-win competition. The final driver in this group is BJ Tidrick, the Darlington winner, and we already have drama in the 72 camp. BJ Tidrick, experiencing connection issues, has fallen out of the race server during the drivers' meeting. There is plenty of time for him to get back in, but there is already drama in the 72 camp here in the pre-race festivities.
There's a lot going to be discussed, including the possible ramifications if that was to happen during the race. But to remind you of how things are settling in for your championship 4, that 4 this year is Sean Brightsman, Seth Frazier, BJ Tidrick, Dan Lowther. 3 Team Ramrod drivers, in fact, Greg. It's not usual to see 3 teammates fight for one championship like this. And of course, Dan Lowther was the upset of them to be able to get in with his victory at the end of the regular season. This is one of his best tracks in the virtual world, too. He's been one of the quickest drivers all practice.
Up near the top 5 for most of practice, and a big key here, Justin, the fastest of the 4 championship drivers. Very, very important here moving forward here in this race for Dan Lowther to get that momentum built, because Justin, like you mentioned, he is definitely going to be one to watch. He's in the championship 4 at one of his best tracks. However, his teammate Seth Frazier, he considers this his best track.
It's going to be an entertaining one to see who can come away with the checker flag here tonight. We'll be getting the chance to speak with all of the drivers competing for the title in just a few moments here, as let's take a look quickly at your weather conditions for tonight, where it's a bit more on the cooler side, as it is InSim Day, October 31st, 2021, just past 3 p.m. in sim time. 79 degrees is the track temperature Fahrenheit, 70 degrees is the air temp. Clear blue skies across the circuit with some clouds ahead with 3 miles an hour currently gusting around this racetrack. So very, very beautiful conditions for today's action here. The question is going to be who comes away with the victory and the title, Greg, tonight. It's going to be the biggest question on everybody's minds.
Yeah, definitely going to be important. Just checked in with the Team Ramrod drivers. They are all furiously trying to get BJ Tidrick back into the race session with the connection issues. They're trying to keep him calm, as he's a little worked up right now, trying to keep him settled down to go out there and get himself back into the race room before qualifying. We're keeping an eye on it moving forward, but we will be hopefully able to catch up with these guys here in a moment. That's just soon as they get everything worked out in the 72 camp.
Indeed. Now, we want to remind you that the West Bay Napa Auto Parts playoffs are sponsored by West Bay Napa Auto Parts, based out of Silverdale, Washington. You can find them at 9331 Silverdale Way, Northwest. They open at 8 a.m. on Tuesdays at 360-692-2924. This series also sponsored by Walls Beer Co. and by LSR TV. In the best of the rest, by the way, two drivers are in contention for that. We have been told Caden Anderson has been having a dominant playoff spoiling campaign where he's been up at the front several races with his friend Cole Raz. As well, Devin West has also played spoiler these playoffs. He is also in contention for the Best of the West presented by LSR TV, where the winner gets $35 from LSR TV. So those two drivers will come down to it. Overall, the best driver who did not make the playoffs in terms of points for reference was Devin West, coming into tonight by a full race. That difference being about 55 points over Stefan O'Hare for the overall complexion of the window. Now, of course, it's been an intriguing season, an intriguing postseason, especially Greg, with several different playoff spoiler winners throughout the campaign. Anderson, Raz, Devin West. It's going to be intriguing how this all plays out tonight.
And there is another group that you did not mention there of playoff spoilers that I'm very much keeping an eye on, and that is the two drivers of West Family Racing, Dan West Jr. and his son Devin. Here's why. Both those drivers have punched their ticket to the Championship 4 in the sister series to this Cup Series, the Northwest Truck Series. They have punched their ticket to this race in that series. So I think the 55 and the 5, the West Family drivers, they are going to be using this race as kind of a practice session, build some momentum towards that race here in not this Thursday, but next Thursday, as the series kind of got delayed a race after some technical issues in the New Hampshire race earlier this year. But I'm watching for the West Family to really possibly play spoiler here as they try some momentum building moves to try to get themselves in race shape for the truck race at Phoenix next week.
Now, keep in mind, when it comes to Phoenix, the racing is going to be very interesting here, too. 1 mile is this distance for the circuit, but keep in mind, this is the pre-reconfiguration layout that happened in the late 2010s to the circuit. So, start and finish line is down what is currently the backstretch in real world. Same type of layout, though, including the dog leg drivers will have to deal with for tonight's action.
Yeah, this is the most current incarnation of ISM Raceway on the iRacing server. However, this is not the most accurate one as far as what today's standards is. This is the 2012 version, 2011 version with the open dogleg, like you mentioned, the only version of Phoenix ISM on the iRacing server that has that open dogleg. So with that said, the drivers are going to be doing some moves that we haven't seen at Phoenix in a couple of years with the big dive bombs down. They can go all the way to the inside wall if they want, Justin. So this is definitely going to play a role. And 5 wide, 6 wide, not out of the question here tonight.
Absolutely. By the way, the drivers who were amongst the best in practice times for today's action, Dan West Jr. had the fastest practice time at 26.635. Justin Yee, Lake Peterson, a newcomer with double-digit victories in an iRacing career on ovals. Caden Anderson, Cole Raz, the top 5. The fastest playoff driver was Dan Lather at 26.756. With Chris White, Josh Childress, Seth Frazier, Devin West, Casey Garber among your top competitors on the board in practice. BJ Tedrick ran a 26.819 in practice. Also keep in mind that other drivers were shuffled around the mid-pack, such as Sean Brightsman is 26.858 on the respective board for practice. So in other words, the speeds are going to be critical, but the tire saving is going to be critical tonight.
Very much so, Justin. We are going to be having ourselves a wild race. Tire management going to be very, very, very important part of tonight's race. Championships on the line, and a lot of drivers going to be trying to figure out exactly what they want to do, saving those tires, make it last. They want a track position as much as they can, especially those 4 in the championships.
One of the drivers competing for this year's championship is someone that had to win his way in the final race of the round of 8. Sean Brightsman, in what was in astounding fashion, was able to lock himself in at Texas to be able to move on to Phoenix. Sean, first things first, how are you feeling entering tonight?
I'm feeling pretty decent. It's going to be a tough race tonight. It's going to be all about keeping the throttle control and just trying to avoid any wrecks that are happening. So I'm feeling good, but a little anxious, of course. Got those butterflies going on.
You mentioned the butterflies. Of course, now with about a week to digest and kind of think about everything. What surprised you the most about the fashion you were able to get yourself into the situation?
I was just surprised that I was able to hold those guys off. I think it really just came down to those yellows that came out at the end to get me in there. I mean, to be honest, it was. I thought I had that race won without all that, and kind of brought out the caution on my own. So I was just happy to get around and get that opportunity to be the leader towards the end of the race there. So being able to hold all those guys off and do that, it gave it more. I can't even think of the word. Just more stoutness of all the drivers behind me, so it made me even more excited about it.
Now tonight is going to be an interesting challenge, of course. Phoenix for a title. What's been the preparation like throughout the week to try and make sure you're ready to go for this race?
It should have been more practice, to be honest. I didn't start practice until actually last night. So I've put in probably about 70 laps and then another 20 to 30 here. But that's not near the laps that we need to go out there and be 100% confident in this race, as Seth and Dan and BJ probably have put in a ton more. I'm going to be the one behind the 8-ball, but I'm hoping I can be the 8-ball with the magic feature.
So what's it going to take to be able to have that magic?
Just clean laps, really clean laps, and clean and consistent laps, really. I think if you can do that, that is going to put you in a very good position coming into the last 25 laps, and just depends on what we're doing then. But I definitely think that's going to be the biggest key.
Real quick, anything you want to mention before we let you get back to practice and preparations for Q?
I just want to thank West Bay Napa Auto Parts for coming on board for the playoffs, and then we have Bright's Boutique on the Toyota Camry here, LSR TV, everybody here at the Northwest Racing Series, the championship contenders tonight, BJ Tidrick, Seth Frazier, Dan Lowther, and myself. I can't be more thrilled to be in the top four with these guys. And then, again, just appreciate you guys for everything you've done.
Thank you very much for your time, Sean.
Thank you.
Sean Brightsman, once again in the number 46 machine, looking to try and win the title tonight in the Bright's Boutique machine. Standing by with Dan Lowther now is Greg Renz.
And we're going to start off with Dan Lowther here for Team Ramrod. And Dan, you got yourself into the playoffs with a clutch victory at Talladega. Points race your way all the way to the championship race here at Phoenix tonight. And to top it all off, so far, you're the fastest of the championship four here in practice. We're going to make this quick because qualifying is getting set to go. But what is it going to take for you to get that 63 car, the title tonight?
I think more what I've kind of done all season is just try to be consistent in the races and, have those strong finishes at the end and not really worry about early on and keep my nose clean. And I think that's what it's going to take tonight. I don't know if I can win here, but I think I can run well. But it's going to definitely be a tough battle.
And real quick before we let you go, get ready to qualify. What does it mean to be caught up here in the championship race, I should say, in your rookie season here in the Northwest Cup Series and the chance to be the inaugural champion?
It means a lot. It's pretty awesome. I've had a lot of help this year with a lot of the guys, around me with Team Ramrod and Eric and BJ and everybody, coaching me and helping me and just refining my skills. So.
All right, Dan, we're going to let you go get ready to qualify. But before we do, a chance to thank your sponsors and who all got you here.
West Bay Auto Parts, obviously, for putting on the Chase deal here for us all, and Team Ramrod and those guys for helping me out, and In Front Motorsports. That's about it.
Dan Lowther, number 63, points races his way in, looking to bring the championship home to Boise. Good luck here tonight. Going to catch up now with another one of his Team Ramrod teammates, Seth Frazier. And Seth, you locked yourself into the championship here on the first race of the final round of playoffs. Now you get ready for the championship. And you said after that win at Iowa that this was your best track and you felt really, really good. Me and you had talked about that all the way back in June, that you felt if you could get to this position, you had a very good shot, and now it's come true. So now the chips are down. What have you done here since that win at Iowa to get ready for this race?
I haven't done a whole lot. Just been racing as much as I can out here, and just kind of game plan, I guess, in my head on different scenarios, depending on how the race goes tonight.
Well, Seth, we're getting set to qualify here, but you joined the series last year running in the Northwest Xfinity Series, instantly became a threat every single race, and here you are, a great performance here in the Cup Series. I'm going to ask you the same question that we asked Dan as qualifying is getting set to get green here. What would it mean for you to be the first champion in the Northwest Cup Series? What would that mean to you?
It'd be pretty cool. This is a fun league that Jeff and Sean and all the guys put on a lot of strong competition, and it's fun racing throughout the summer, so it'll be fun to end this thing on a good note hopefully tonight.
Championship race, Seth, final shot at it. Who do you want to thank? Who got you here?
Well, I need to thank Paul Bear, for coming on board and sponsoring us, and LSRTB for putting on the show along with West Bay Napa Auto Parts. Also, I just want to say I set out this season to attempt the impossible and try and get Greg a date, and I failed all season long. So I'm determined, win or lose tonight, to get Greg a date by the end of the night.
Oh boy, here we go again. Seth Frazier, we're going to let you go get ready to qualify. Good luck, and maybe we'll see you after the race.
Thanks, guys.
Seth Frazier with Team Ramrod. And we still are waiting on an update on BJ Tidrick. He is back in the car trying to make it out for qualifying. We are still waiting for an update and see if we can catch a word with him. But with the amount of problems he's having right now, we haven't been able to catch up with him yet. We're going to try it one more time before the end of qualifying. But Justin, qualifying is already underway.
At the moment, Kate Anderson's at the top of the board with a 26.728. Cole Raz second. Chris White, Stephen O'Hare, Marcy Ottenbacher, and Cheney, who is set for another end of longest line penalty round of the 7 drivers with times. Remember, you must not qualify during the drivers' meeting. And Eric Cheney, once again, elected to drive the second the drivers' meeting started. But Cole Raz electing to take some extra practice laps here. Well, we also have some newcomers to the field tonight, including Lake Peterson. We were talking about him tonight. Driver based out of Oregon with 17 career oval victories. Keep an eye on him. He was one of the quick drivers. As Dan Lowther is on the racetrack, and he's someone that was in the top 10 in final practice.
And he was the fastest of the championship 4. Was in a tie with Seth Frazier at the end of practice. Was able to jump up a couple of spots at the very end of practice to get himself to that spot, trying to transfer it over to qualifying. But he said before the race, before we went on the air, he said he was not happy with the way the car was driving. So we'll see if Dan Lowther can get himself in that position still to try and go out, get himself the best starting spot of the championship 4, and he would be off to a nice start here. He goes 10th in the first lap, 27.227. So he's the only one of the championship drivers. Scratch that, Seth Frazier has made it out onto the track, and he's going to be happy that he went a 26.787 on the first lap, because he just lost it off of turn number 4. So he's going to be very happy he has a decent lap to sit on here, as Dan Lowther in the number 63 going to cross the stripe, jumps into the top 10. But Frazier right now the fastest of the 2 championship contenders. We still wait for Brightsman and Tidrick.
We just seen Brock Denny crash in a bit of a different look for him tonight, and Cole Raz matching paint schemes we see as Denny will get back rolling. Stephen Paulson, BJ Tidrick, and Tyler King are still also rolling on the racetrack. BJ Tidrick, of note, is trying to get his car all set for qualifying as he's pulling out all the stops. You can already tell.
At BJ Tidrick right now, he's just double checking everything is okay. Remember, he missed most of the drivers meeting because of connection issues, still experiencing them, perhaps trying to make sure everything's working into number 72. We do have it confirmed, Justin. We're not going to be able to catch up with him pre-race, but we will attempt to try on the first caution to catch up with BJ Tidrick. We have a new driver on top of the board. It's Yee in the 66, but BJ Tidrick in the number 72 going out now. Championship 4 contender had a big scare here in the pre-race off of turn number 4 for lap number 1. Goes to 7th. It's a 26.841. He is second of the championship 4, just 1/10 off of his teammate Seth Frazier.
And a great first lap indeed. Sean Brightsman of note has also made his way out of the pit lane along with Peterson and Beal. So we'll see how these drivers now contend as Brightsman getting up to speed. Tidrick making his way down the front stretch right now. For reference sake, just set at 26.761 to get to 6. We'll see how Brightsman now does. He's now up to speed for his first lap.
How big is this right now, Justin? Tidrick with that gaining position with the 7.6 beats Frazier 7.8. Now he is the fastest of the championship 4 contenders in this one, as Brightsman out on track now in the number 46. He has taken the green flag. He's on his first lap in the Bryce Boutique LSR TV Toyota. Pushes up the track a little bit there in turn number 3. That's not going to help his cause in that Toyota. We'll see how he falls in line. Remember, Brightsman not exactly known for strong qualifying attempts. He makes his way up through the field in the race, and it's holding true again as he's 20th on the board, a 27.428, make it 21st. Sean Brightsman definitely going to be looking for some speed out of the 46 car in race trim, but we know he's not afraid to roll the dice as well as he comes around off of turn number 4. Checkered flag, second lap for Brightsman, the final driver to take time. Splits the Team Ramrod teammates at 26.767. Good enough for 8th, but with all 4 championship contenders now having locked in a qualifying effort, BJ Tidrick will be the highest one of them. Tidrick, Brightsman, and Frazier 7th, 8th, 9th. You've got Dan Lowther in 13th, but we know he's fast in race trim. He was the fastest of them in practice. He's going to be looking for that to transfer over to the race.
Some quick times indeed, but the quickest so far is Lake Peterson with the 26.706. That is 8/1000 second quicker than anyone else in the field. Jeff Stabnow, one of the final qualifiers, to 10th, has had a nightmare final quarter of this season. Bryce Clark, Joshua Beal are also on track. The drivers yet to set times are Weaver, Dennis Moore, Hutchinson, Burke. Those are the drivers yet to qualify across the racetrack. Currently, though, the qualifying speed's up to a 10th slower than drivers' personal best in practice. The second laps have been the quickest ones throughout the evening. As we look now at Beal, he'll be driving one of the Dale Earnhardt Sr. throwback cars tonight with a 27 flat to start off his qualifying. That's going to be towards the mid-pack, and he stops it after that lap.
Josh Beal driving the Dale Earnhardt Tribute number 3 Bass Pro Shops car. He made a couple of attempts at it in that car, but unfortunately not going to get it done here. And 25 drivers have taken time. Remember, Cheney is going to take the EOL penalty for doing the trademark there, as he qualified before the session began, as we get set for this race.
About a minute or so before drivers will make their way towards the starting grid. Of note, Stephen Paulson is getting extra practice laps. Everybody else has recorded times. No other drivers have made their way onto the circuit. Now, turn to our third man on the crew. Wesley Utland is now standing by as these drivers get ready to decide who will become a champion.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the virtual Phoenix Way it is championship at night, seeing in less than an hour and a half or 2 hours from now. We will find out who will be hoisting the Cup trophy in the West Bay Auto Parts for the first time for the Northwest iRacing Cup Series. Drivers, all worthy of the champion, now have opportunity to go after that here at Phoenix. The tell of the tape on this exciting track over a mile. Number one thing, and we've seen it throughout the playoffs, gentlemen, up to this point, there cannot be no mistakes. You have to hit your marks on pit lane. You have to be courtesy of all the other drivers that are around you. You have to be ready to be strategy-wise to do whatever you can to win this event. And then you've also got to be courteous of knowing that while 4 drivers are fighting for a championship, there's another 20-plus that are looking for the checkered flag. It should be exciting. The end of the road, the journey, ends tonight. We'll have the action on pit road from Phoenix.
And these drivers are all set to go racing for the virtual Phoenix Raceway. It's time to take a look at Hell Start for the final race of the Northwest Cup Series season from the desert. Your starting grid brought to you by ComServe Wireless as Lake Peterson, brand new to the series, up to the front. Alongside Justin Yee, the friends will be in front of Caden Anderson, who will start in row 2 in one of the newly painted cars tonight. We'll get into that as the evening progresses. He'll start alongside Dan West Jr. Cole Raz will start in 5th today with Chris White in 6th. And then you start to see the playoff drivers. It'll be BJ Tedrick and Sean Brightsman in row number 4 tonight, with Seth Frazier in row 5 and 9th. Jeff Stabnow rounds out the top 10 grade.
We find Joshua Marcy, who has come close quite a few times to victory lane in the number 35 in the 11th spot, with Stephen O'Hare, the 41, 3 truck wins on the year, trying to close it out with a cup victory as well. One of a few drivers are going to have to watch. Casey Garber really heated things up in that number 94 in the second half of the season. The final driver hunting for a championship, Dan Lowther, misses the boat in qualifying, but will look for a strong race run. As we know, the car's fast in race trim. He starts 14th. Joshua Childress in the number 97 rolls off 15th, with Brock Denny, the 3rd member of that Caden Anderson Racing paint scheme trifecta that we talked about. Caden Anderson painted those 3 cars earlier in the week. Denny, the 3rd driver, and that rolls off 16th. John Ottenbacher made the playoffs, unfortunately was not able to advance through the first round, 17th, with Frank Harris, who's no good, very bad season, hopes to end on a high note tonight. He starts 18th. Daytona winner Corey Walters and Stephen Paulison round out the top 20, Justin.
21st on time, Devin West with Tyler Kane alongside him in row 11. Row 12, Ricky Belger and Bryce Clark. Of note, the last driver to record a time was Eric Cheney. He qualified 25th. He is elected not to start tonight's race, once again, not wanting to be a factor in the championship fight. The rest of the drivers sorted via grid. Joshua Beal will move up to where Dennis Moore's spot is. They'll bump up Carl Burke, Scott Hutchinson, Dennis Moore, Bruce Lee Weaver among those drivers towards the end of your field. 30 drivers all set to race 200 laps, 200 miles at Phoenix Raceway. Drivers all set to go racing. Real quick, Greg, your keys to victory.
Gonna have to be patient. 200 laps at Phoenix, Arizona to determine a champion. You're gonna have to be patient if you want to win the race. And for Tidrick, Frazier, Brightsman, and Lowther, you've got to be even more patient. Pace cars coming in, Justin. It's time for the final start of 2020-2021.
Green flag is out. We're underway for the season finale for the Northwest Cup Series. And a great launch for Peterson and Yee. Dan West Jr. attacks on the high side, trying to move up to 3rd.
Remember, Dan West Jr. not in the championship fight, but he is looking for a win here tonight, because that'll give him a lot of momentum heading into the truck championship next week, a race where he will be fighting for the championship along with his son Devin, so he will be hunting the win tonight. But the teammates, Justin Yee, who joined the series about a month ago, and Lake Peterson run 1-2 with Yee leading the first lap in the Panda car.
Good launch, absolutely, for him. Cole Raz up to 4th, Anderson to 5th. Already lost 2 spots. But keep in mind, as your leaders try and single file out, your playoff drivers are in the midst of double wide still. Several of them are trying to fight for position at the bottom of the racetrack. Tidrick and Brightsman are side by side with Seth Frazier, also in the midst of a scrap for 7th position. Front stretch trouble. Stephen O'Hare's around. Caution is out.
So we talked about O'Hare, 3 wins on the truck season, but none in the Cup, and unfortunately, his final shot at it this year off to a rough start. We take a look at the swag replay of what happened. Here we're watching that Peels Oranges number 41 goes off into turn number 3. And looks like Stabnow was slow in the 24 as he was out of the groove, and it looks like O'Hare didn't get a good look at it there because of the camera angle switch, but perhaps he lost it on his own there, not sure. Didn't see any damage on the front of Dan Lowther's car, was behind him, and that's big because Lowther was a championship contender. Our aerial coverage, again, brought to you by All American Pools. First, we'll show you what happened with Stabnow in number 24. Right there, there's a little contact with, I believe, Brock Denny in the number 64, maybe wrong on that one. No, that's Josh Marcy. And then watch O'Hare, yeah, just snapped loose on him on corner exit.
And it looks like everyone was able to dodge him as well. Could have been much worse of an incident, but already under caution, and it's so easy just to lose grip at the bottom of the racetrack here if you're too far low on the racetrack, Greg.
BJ Tidrick in a sacrifice track position to come down pit road early in that number 72. First championship 4 pit stop. Sorry to kind of not answer your point there, Justin, but that's a big one. Tidrick, the only championship 4 driver on pit road right now.
Had a bit of a head scratcher here.
Well, you know, BJ Tidrick, he likes to take advantage of the fact that there's no tire limit here. He's like, hey, I got tires available, might as well take it. He likes to do it, and early in the race, and especially with the fact that he was having those connection issues during the pre-race festivities, and it was a struggle just to get into the car in time to qualify. Maybe he just wants to be in the back for the start of this race, at least, to make sure that it is worked out before he really starts going for it. Still a long way to go. We're on lap 5 of 200 here.
Indeed. So, chance to regroup here and get a breather. Let's talk a little bit about those new paint schemes we were talking about for Raz Anderson as well, Marcy in that grouping. The team initials you see on the hood, that is BKR Motorsports, and as people may know, Raz and Anderson have been working together ever since Raz joined this series, and they have been a dynamic duo in this campaign. Denny has also been very quick whenever he has felt comfortable in his car. Greg, an interesting decision to debut these new paint schemes for the finale.
Well, they debuted the trucks on Thursday night. Caden spent a lot of time driving the number 37. He spent a lot of time making these paint schemes up. That's something that he's doing not just on iRacing now, but he's also began designing vinyl wraps in the real world for super late models and even bandoleros and different cars. So Anderson really beginning to pursue the race car design as a possible career and something he wants to do in the racing community. So he's getting to show off his work here, and he's got his 2 teammates, Cole Raz and Brock Denny, running his stuff as well, and they look awesome. I love the new look of these cars that Anderson, Raz, and Denny are running. Looking forward to seeing if there's any more scattered out throughout the field. I know of at least one, Casey Garber, the 94. He does run an Anderson scheme as well. Looking forward to seeing maybe some more pop up out of the Anderson paint schedule or stable next season as the lights go out on the pace car.
And for your championship driver, Sean Brightsman is 7th, Seth Frazier is in 8th, Dan Lathers in 12th, BJ Tidrick is in 16th position. Justin Yee and Lake Peterson are in control of the field. Dan West Jr. and Cole Raz are in row 2, while Anderson and White are in row 3. So keep an eye, especially on not just the race lead fight here, but as well the battle that's going on for 7th position for our championship favorites early on. 193 laps to go here at Phoenix. The Panda Express car in control of the field on the inside line. Pace car rolls off as the green flag waits up at the stand, backing away from Phoenix.
Back underway. Justin Yee gets him through the gears and takes it into turn number 1. He's got his teammate with him tonight, Lake Peterson in the 09. And Yee has had a lot of speed in that number 66. He's another one of those drivers who has really shown a lot of speed in his limited starts here at the end of the season. Looking forward to seeing what he has for a full run next year. And maybe we'll be able to get Lake Peterson full-time next year, as well as Dan West Jr. to the inside. We know how much speed's in that 55 car for West Family Racing in the Chevy Camaro right now, battling on the inside of Peterson for a second. Then you find the teammates of Anderson and Raz lined up behind them. Then you find Chris White. And Justin, it was a very up and down season for Chris White in that number 83. Had a very strong regular season, was one of the first drivers to lock himself in to the playoffs on points. 2 wins on the year, including the Indianapolis 200 for the Northwest Cup Series. However, a disappointing first round of the playoffs. Chris White left with kind of just thinking what may have been trouble.
Caution, Bryce Clark.
Childress.
Josh Childress goes around. Bryce Clark also got sandwiched. Corey Walters gets spun around. 3 different incidents spew out in the span of 10 seconds. So let's take a look at the cause for the caution first of all. This is Childress. He was right behind that battle for the championship lead. Then everything else broke loose right behind this, where Corey Walters got squeezed and then got turned around.
Oh, there was contact there with, is that Marcy? 35, Jeff Stabnow involved as well. There you see Corey Walters sliding through. I believe that's Scott Hutchinson he got together with.
Yeah, and Corey Walters, the reason he had the right side damage on that car, you may have noticed in the aerial coverage, was he got sandwiched by a car who got loose off of turn 4. It was Bryce Clark specifically, who got into him.
So that's why you see the right side damage. They do have a fast repair on that number 9 car, as the lights are on the pace car, and nobody coming down pit road this time. Well, a couple guys come down deeper in the field, but I'm gotta say, Justin, I'm really surprised that BJ Tidrick elected the pit early there in that number 72, but he was the only one of the championship 4 that we did not get to talk to before the race because of those connection issues. So now I think it's a good opportunity to maybe catch up with the driver of the 72 while we're under the second caution tonight and see his thoughts here on this race.
Gonna be interesting. Some of those thoughts in 12th position now. Jeff Stabnow, Joshua Marcy, Stefano Herrick, Josh Childress, Frank Harris, Corey Walters, Stephen Paulson, Tyler King, Carl Burke, Scott Hutchinson all came down to the pit lane this time as BJ Tidrick is now standing by. BJ, do you have a copy?
Yeah, I got you.
First things first, you're right now on an alternate strategy here in this championship fight. Why did you elect to pit after only 1 lap of green flag racing to start?
Well, so I qualified a lot better than I thought I was going to, and that was kind of a hornet's nest up there, and I wasn't comfortable up there. I have a fast repair. I got plenty of time here, so I figured I might as well just switch it up a little bit, and I'm not going to beat them on the same strategy. Both Seth and Sean are more talented than I am and faster than I am, so I'm going to have to outthink them or just let luck fall into my hands, so that's what I'm hoping for here.
Of course, there was a lot of stress prior to the green flag with technical issues. What happened and what was that process like trying to get yourself back into the car to be able to race this event?
I've been pretty fortunate that I've never really had any connection issues. That was like the first time, maybe the second time ever. So I'm just going to chalk that one up as a whoopsie. Maybe, I don't know, I saw my kids over here on YouTube, but we got her all shut down. We're good to go. I don't foresee a problem again.
Now, what would it mean to you to win the Northwest Cup Series Championship, its first season in the Cup cars? What would it mean if you were the champion?
I tell you what, I'm not going to think about that because we got a long ways to go here. What I'd like to do is just tell the guys and you guys, thank you for putting on a good series, an awesome season. This has been a lot of fun out here, all the different tracks with all the guys out here. There's, what they say, 80 some guys that have participated. So rather than getting my hopes up, looking forward to something that's probably not going to happen, I'll just be happy to contend along, finish 3rd. I think that'd be a win in itself.
Once you get back to racing, good luck the rest of the run.
Thank you, guys.
That's BJ Tidrick, number 72 machine. Right now, he is now in 11th position. Want to go signal this time by Justin Yee in the race lead. Dan West Jr.'s up to second. Lake Peterson, the pole sitters, to third. Raz, Anderson, White, the top six. Brightsman and Frazier, your top playoff drivers. Dan Lowther is in 10th position. Tidrick in 11th. We'll see how things stack out on this restart. Coming up to 15 laps this time. Starting off 14 complete. Yee in control of the field. A very early launch before the pace car even gets to the commitment cone. Will that be a penalty? Green flag, we'll have to see.
We'll have to wait and see on that one for sure. Justin Yee going very, very early. Remember, Justin, that cost Carl Burke a victory earlier this season. I believe it was Michigan that happened to Burke. A race that we thought he had locked up, jumped the restart, and unfortunately ended his night there. We'll see. Does not look like it so far for Justin Yee. We'll have to see in the next couple laps. So far, so good. But wow, if he did not get a penalty, he got very, very lucky there. He cut it very close.
It was very, very tight, to say the least, as Dan West Jr. loose up the track, nearly smacks the wall. Justin Yee, though, holding on to the race lead for the time being, all while Seth Frazier and Sean Brightsman still continue to scrap. On board with Dan West Jr., he wants the race lead. He was quicker by the 10th last time.
West Jr. trying to get up underneath Justin Yee. Cole Raz has gotten around Lake Peterson, the teammate to Justin Yee, just made his debut here tonight in that number 09 by putting it on the pole. Big one there for Lake Peterson as we get going, as he's trying to hold off Caden Anderson right now. Anderson, another one of those guys, Justin, who's looking for a big performance here at the end of the season. Now, 2 wins on the year. Did not make the playoffs, but a full run at the points. No doubt Anderson's right there in the hunt for this championship, possibly even in the championship 4, as he did pick up a win in the round of 8. So no doubt Caden Anderson would be very, very strong here in this championship battle if he was able to run the full season. Looking for big things out of him next year. But look at behind him, from 6th place to 11th place, you find all 4 of the championship contenders all in a group right there, along with Chris White and Devin West. So they've all found each other very quickly here.
They've been with each other very quickly throughout this race. As caution flag is out down the front stretch again. It's Joshua Marcy this time.
Marcy in the 35. Remember, we keep going back to that big win, or the one that got away, that we can call it, that Canadian Tire, a race that it looked like he had it won. Unfortunately, did not go his way in the end, and since then he's only been able to make about half the races, and unfortunately this one looks like is going to get off to a frustrating start here. Breaks loose off of turn number 4. Yeah,
way too low. It almost looked like the suspension buckled down the second he got into the corner exit, just out of the rubber and out of the groove. $180 to go. We'll see how things go out for the strategy. We've already had several heat cycles on these tires, Greg.
And now we're starting to wonder when the first pit stop for these guys will be. We've only had about 9 green flag laps here in the first 20, but it's been such a wild start to this race with 3 cautions in the first 20 laps. A lot of drivers with some decisions to make here. The Anderson car is coming down. Wow, Sean Brightsman, he drove directly over the commitment cone. Did he commit or not?
And I think Seth Frazier is among your drivers who are in, Wesley. Going to you.
They are in lane. It's going to be Raz and Anderson, as you just mentioned as well. Seth Frazier, the 32, one of the drivers finding championship, coming down the and fuel high on those cars. 4 tires for Anderson. Fuel coming up on the 37. Cole Raz, the team look-alike colors of the 10. Aim, Frazier comes now. Raz, Anderson, all the pit lane off of their pit stops here in the early going.
Thank you very much, Wesley. As the cars now roll through turns 3 and 4, and what has turned into an interesting one so far. Of note, Tidrick is up to 8th position, while Seth Frazier, after the pit stops, is in 17th position. Dan Lowther's in 7th. Brightsman is up to 4th. Here at Phoenix, 2 to go signal. This time by Greg.
But Brightsman does not catch a violation of the commitment cone. He was dang close to having to come down pit road there. So Brightsman catches a break. He's going to be up in fourth now, second row outside. Then you find Dan Lowther and BJ Tidrick 7th and 8th. And Lowther, remember, was the fastest of the four in race trim, qualified 14th, has made his way up to 7th. Biggest move of the race thus far? How about Devin West in the number 5? He's up 15 positions from the start of the race. Excuse me, he's not the biggest mover of the race. Joshua Beal up 16 positions. He's up into the top 10 after starting 26. So a couple of drivers starting outside the top 20 have made their way into the top 5. So something else to keep an eye on as drivers try to make their way through the field here early.
The only drivers yet to pit so far this race are Yee, West Jr., Peterson, Brightsman, White, Devin West, Dan Lowther, Joshua Beal, John Ottenbacher. Everyone else has come down at least once. Still 178 to go this time. 1 to go signal. You have to think we get a long run eventually here. You'd have to say at Phoenix, this is usually the trends where cautions can break cautions early. You get that long run, and then eventually the cautions can potentially build back up.
And that's something that BJ Tidrick loves to prepare for, is that long run. BJ Tidrick is one of those guys who always says, you know, there's going to be a long run at some point, and every time us in the All-Star TV booth, we're like, man, I don't know, the way this race is going, I don't foresee it, but yet every time BJ Tidrick gets proven right, and we do find the long run eventually. So just at this point, it's a matter of time of when will we see that long run, as we've already had 3 cautions in the first 25 laps. Lights are out. We're going to try it again. Justin Yee has led just about every lap thus far, but he's got one of the all-time greats here of the series. Dan West Jr. is outside, green flag back in the air.
And our good launch for him as we're off and away once more from Phoenix. And your championship competitors ready to start scrapping as Brightsman trying to find a hole is stuck on the high side right now with Chris White attacking. That could be good news for the rest of the drivers looking to catch up to him, including BJ Tidrick and Dan Lowther, who are now fighting for position.
They are side by side. Big wreck behind him as we're going to have another caution. We've got several cars in the wall up in turn number 3. I saw Josh Beal, Tyler King going around. There's Jeff Stabnow sliding to a stop. Scott Hutchinson. Boy, there are a lot of cars involved here in turn 3. And this happened right behind Seth Frazier, who was the final playoff driver. Actually, this happened in front of Seth Frazier. Let's watch that purple car and make sure Frazier got through, as this is going to start up here with Ottenbacher was the first car to get into trouble in that bright green car up there. We're watching Hutchinson right now as right there it breaks out. Watch Frazier squeak through on the bottom, gets through it. Wow, great job by Seth Frazier. The rest of the field piles in and continues to pile in.
Yes, several drivers involved, including Caden Harrison, Scott Hutchinson, Tyler King, among the competitors who got some of the worst of that in that respective incident. Brock Denny also lost his front clip from that. Carl Burke among the drivers who had to check up for the incident. Frank Harris in what has been a terrible luck season involved. Here's the look from onboard Joshua Marcy.
On board with the 35 and nowhere for him to go except trying to squeeze by O'Hare and Ottenbacher. I think all in all, he gets away relatively clean as what you would expect when you're having to force up the racetrack, because you got one car coming up towards you and you got another one sitting there waiting for you.
Absolutely. We'll take a break. More coverage coming up here on LSR TV for coverage of the Northwest Cup Series and its season finale here at Phoenix.
ETE Reman is the world's best remanufacturer of transmissions for import and domestic cars and trucks. Based in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, our customers are repair shops, auto parts stores, dealerships, and distributors. And with 6 nationwide warehouses, we're where and when you need us. So when you're looking for a transmission that is like new, only better, instill confidence and install ETE Reman.
Back back live on LSR TV for coverage of the final race, the West Bay Napa Auto Parts Playoffs to crown a champion, where it's been an attrition-filled one so far. At Phoenix, Justin Prince, Greg Rentz, Wesley Altman with you with Charles Wood in the director's seat. Justin Yee has led every single lap so far. Lake Peterson, Dan West Jr. have controlled the top 3 positions from the get-go. But your playoff drivers have been in constant flux because of the different strategies and because of the caution-precaution nature of this race so far, Greg.
Yeah, and we've seen all four of them be up and around each other for most of the race, but the one solid so far since the start of the race has been Sean Brightsman, has been the highest scored of them. And remember, it's whoever finishes highest of those 4 drivers in blue: Brightsman, Tidrick, Frazier, and Lowther. You'll see him on blue when we come back to green flag racing and we get the ticker back up here. The 4 drivers in blue, it's whichever one of those is the highest finishing driver at the end of this race gets it done. So far, it's been all Brightsman in that category, but the Team Ramrod drivers, they have been, like you said, state of flux, depending on the pit strategies, different aspects on the racetrack. Going to be interesting to see what happens when they eventually get up there to Brightsman.
Keep in mind, Sean Brightsman, you mentioned, the winningest driver of the season with 9 victories. He's also the winningest driver in the history of the Northwest Racing Series with 56 victories, 134 top 5s, 157 top 10s, and 212 starts. He's only had 3 career DNFs in this series. He'll be starting 4th. Yee and Peterson, the friends, in control of the field. Dan West Jr. over the back bumper of the race leaders. The iRacing pace car's off. Another clean launch. Another good restart.
Great restart there for Yee into number 66. And can Peterson get down in front of West Jr.? No, West able to go full send there into turn number 1 and get the spot. Well, not get the spot, but able to get the block on there, preventing Peterson from getting down in line. As we take a look now, side by side between Tidrick and Lowther. Cole Raz lurking there in the number 10. We know Raz has a lot of speed in his number 10. He has a win at Michigan. He's trying to get up there and play spoiler. No doubt he's going to be a threat for the championship next year as they go off into turn number 1. Right now, Lowther able to clear Tidrick, and here comes Frazier in that purple car, the 3rd amigo of Team Ramrod and the 4th championship contender. They're all right there. Green car, red car, purple car, all in the championship. Lowther, Tidrick, and Frazier. They're all trying to chase down Sean Brightsman in that number 46, who's falling in line behind West Jr. There is Brightsman, just trying to hold on and ride it out as long as he can and stay in front of these guys, because Brightsman knows as long as he's in front of those 3, he's got this championship.
Still very, very early, though. That's the main thing, though. He has the track position. That's important, yes, but it's still very early on in the matter of things. Of note, Seth Frazier, by the way, is fighting Cole Raz now for position. That is for 8th position. Cole Raz, though, does have damage from some of the earlier incidents we have been following along with.
Raz not taking the fast repair yet in that number 10, just trying to save it. Like Tidrick alluded to, he had the fast repair. He didn't want to burn it early. Remember, 200 laps is a long way, especially here at Phoenix. You only have 1 fast repair available to you, so you want to keep that in the bank as long as you possibly can. Remember that race at Darlington that BJ Tidrick won? The way he won that was right as that issue happened with the technical difficulties that dropped like half the field out of the server, and we went under about a 35-minute red flag getting everybody in. BJ Tidrick used some pit strategy, used his fast repair right then at that point of the race. Everyone else had already used the fast repair and had more damage. Tidrick had a clean car. All he had to do was drive away, and it punched his ticket to the playoffs and eventually led to him being in this position tonight with that championship. So Tidrick, with his win based off timing on the fast repair and a little bit of luck, knows that, hey, it's all about when you use that fast repair if you have to. So that's why Tidrick wasn't too concerned about losing that track position early.
He's currently fighting for 10th position, by the way, with Joshua Marcy, who did use the fast repair after 2 incidents, and Marcy nearly loses it down the front stretch. There goes Tidrick for the top 10.
Ullrich and Marcy battling it out right now. Casey Garber up there as well in the 94. And Justin, that's a guy, Garber, I'm watching for another breakout next year. Another guy that we got to keep an eye on next season. Got that breakout win in the Northwest Tour at Iowa earlier this season. Followed it up with some great runs here on the Cup side since then in that number 94. So I'm watching for him to have a big year next year in the Cup Series as well.
Right now, of note for the best of the rest drivers presented by LSR TV, Devin West is 5th. Anderson, though, is among the drivers who is trying to drive a wounded race car, is in 13th position. So Anderson among the other drivers having to make a fast repair. So we look right now to the point where, well, it doesn't help when you don't have a front clip. He is out driving cars, though, despite that.
Doing a nice job in the number 37, wheeling that modified around Phoenix. Hey, modifieds at Phoenix, that's something that has happened quite a few times. So Caden Anderson, kind of a little bit of a throwback, unintentional, to the modified days here at the Phoenix, Arizona racetrack. There he is with the new improved air conditioning unit on the number 37, trying to reel in Paulison right now. But Anderson, he is driven back up to 13th with that car being damaged. So the question here, Justin, as we are on lap number 38 of 200, with the way Anderson's car is driving, when do you want to take the fast repair? Because if you're Anderson right now, your car is still driving good. You want to try to hang on to it as long as possible, or do you still want to take that fast repair as soon as you can?
Almost feel like it's going to be the latter if he hasn't already used it. Here's the thing. You get major engine damage here, Greg. It can really hurt you down the front stretch, especially here at Phoenix. You can get away with some of the aerodynamic damage, though, because of the nature of it being, in a lot of people's case, it's a short track since it's 1 mile.
Yeah, and that's actually something we talked about at Milwaukee last night on the tour race. You know, racetracks that are a mile in length, do they count as a short track? And I've talked about this point a couple of times. It depends on the track for me. For Phoenix, yes, absolutely, this is a short track. So I'm with you on that. The aero part, not too much of a concern on Anderson, clearly, as he's able to drive through the front. But again, going back to your point, what kind of damage was done internally on the 13 car? Or the 37 car in 13th place, excuse me.
Same question can be for the 10 as well, since he's got it on the grill as well. But Blake Peterson doing a stellar job at the very front of the field right now. 3/10 separation to Justin Yee. Those two have been inside the top 3 the entire running so far. And Yee has been someone that's been quick ever since he made his debut to the series. Peterson making his way to it, the youngster. Looking good so far.
Two drivers who joined in the series late in the year. Peterson, again, making his debut in that number 09 Hooters entry. So two guys you definitely are going to want to remember the name of moving into next year, because they have shown a lot of speed already. Yee making, I believe, his 5th start in the Cup Series, while Peterson's making his debut, and they are running 1-2 right now. And Yee said, hey, I've got my teammate with me to help me back up tonight. He said that before the race, and they are proving that, yes, he was right in that one. Yee and Peterson doing a stellar job holding off some of the best the series has to offer. West Jr., Brightsman, Devin West has climbed to 5th in the number 5. Remember, he had a great performance in the round of 12 in that number 5 car with 2 wins. The problem, Justin, was he wasn't in the playoffs because of missing a few races due to some other obligations in the middle of the season, but that had really, really helped his cause when it came to the LSR TV Best of the Rest.
It's been definitely working out for him, and the caution flag is out. It's Josh Childress in the 97. And that'll restack the field. Yes, indeed.
Second time today, Childress has had issues. Looks like Josh Beal may have had some damage on the back of the 3 car as well. Taking a look at the swag replay, that's Ottenbacher there on the inside of Childress. See what happens here. This is going off into turn number 1. I believe, is that Brock Denny? Yes, that's Denny in the 64, but wow, Childress just kind of caught the wall coming off of turn number 2 and just had to fight it, and finally spun around.
Well, he had no back spoiler, so that doesn't help. Especially since he lost the full deck lid and hadn't used the fast repair yet, so that definitely may have played a factor there as your leaders are coming down the pit lane once more.
Yeah, pit stop time, and there's a whole bunch coming down this time by Justin and Greg. It's Yee, as well as everyone else behind, along with Peterson, Dan West Jr., Sean Brightsman running for the championship, Cole Raz, Frazier, White, Lowther, West, Tidrick, Marcy, Anderson. All these drivers, almost the entire cavalry, inside the top 25 coming in. Pretty certain it's going to be 4 tires and fuel. Maybe some drivers are going to be making some adjustments along the way, but right now we'll see the race off pit road, as right now strategy is a premium here, still just almost 1/4 of the way through, as here comes the off the pit road. Give it to Yee, the Panda Express 66 first off the pit lane. Everyone else will follow. Peterson, West Jr., Brightsman, the top man fighting for the championship. Those 2 drivers in the catbird seat. Raz, Frazier, White, Lowther, Tidrick, your top 10 with Marcy as they get back on track.
I've noticed, well, though, Devin West, well, he may have been booked for speeding. He is having to let by the entire field go. So there goes the 5's track position. Unfortunate for him, as he was one of the top 5 drivers prior to that caution flag. But Brightsman and his strategy call seems to have worked out the best here, Greg, as a result of these cautions.
Yeah, Brightsman in the number 46, using strategy, something that we've seen a time or two out of Brightsman in that number 46, and a big part of getting him here to this championship race in his LSR-TV Brights Boutique Toyota Camry. No doubt he's got something up his sleeves as we get into the later stages of this race.
Indeed. And who's really impressed you the most outside of the front runners here, who we haven't touched upon too much yet, in your opinion?
Right now, I've been impressed with what Chris White has been able to do in the 83, and here's why. He had to be frustrated with how his season ended, Justin, because he was so strong in the regular season, and that number 83 right there for SimStar. He had such a strong regular season, 2 wins on the year, including the big one, the Brickyard 200. Followed it up with a win in Texas, looked very, very strong in the regular season. Hit the playoffs, and it just came up short for him. So unfortunately, his regular season didn't end the way it wanted to, so we're going to have to see here how he does. But I've been impressed with how he's been able to shake that off, knowing that he had a shot at the title this year. Shakes it off, building towards next year.
Longest run of the race so far, 13 laps. We'll see how this run goes, as Justin Yee, Blake Peterson are 1-2. Dan West Jr., Sean Brightsman in row 2. Cole Raz and Frazier, row 3. Chris White, Dan Lowther, row 4. BJ Tidrick, Josh Marcy, row 5. +8 is your biggest mover, Stephen Paulison. Most spots lost, Kate Anderson, -8. The iRacing pace car drops off. Green flag waits up on the stand, backing away from Phoenix.
Way once again. Watch West Jr. in the 55. Does he get to the door again of Lake Peterson? Yes, he will, and that's going to be the best advance that West Jr.'s had all day on Peterson. This may be West Jr.'s shot. What does he do coming through here? He's going to go all the way down the apron, trying to clear Peterson, who gets a big run on the outside. Not clear. Yes, clear. Dan West Jr. able to move into second, trying to reel in Justin Yee. Remember, he's not in the championship battle, but he is looking to build momentum towards his own championship in the trucks at Phoenix, not this Thursday, but next Thursday. Him and his son Devin, a chance to build momentum towards that championship race, which is also coming up here live on LSR TV. Not this Thursday night, but next Thursday night.
Your battle for the championship lead sees a change. Seth Frazier sends it into the corner and nearly spins it around. He really wants to be in front of Sean Brightsman. Now Sean Brightsman nearly spins it around. Side by side yet again. 151 laps to go in this one as Brightsman on the bottom. And Frazier with the squeeze as Brightsman takes it back.
And this is allowing Tidrick to get up into the mix as well, as he's right behind Chris White as the battle continues here between Brightsman and Frazier. Frazier had the advantage at the line, and that just goes to show you that at any given point, this championship can change in a heartbeat as they drag race off of turn number 4 again down the line. This time, Brightsman's going to have it at the line. just barely as Frazier fights back. Remember, it's whoever finishes ahead of the other three of the 46, 32, 72, 63. And right now, Frazier and Brightsman battling it out. This is the first time Brightsman's been under any pressure in the championship since the drop of the green flag. We're a quarter of the way in, working lap number 51. Brightsman doing a nice job, though, on defense, able to keep Frazier at bay for now. He looks like he's going to be able to clear him in the one.
And caution flag out yet again. It's Joshua Beal this time. And the 112 machine. And now we'll re-rack him and stack him yet again as we take a look at your replay. This was towards the very back of the field in the battle for what was towards the very tail.
Getting by that other car right there, trying to get a number on that. Is that Carl Burke in
Yes.
53? Yes, it is. So watch Beal here, and again, just breaks loose. Kind of like what we saw at Marcy, just got a little bit too low there in turn 4.
So back under yellow after another mistake and a self-one car incident. Just past a quarter of the way here at Phoenix. More coverage coming up after this. You're watching LSR TV for the Northwest Cup Series season finale and the final race of the West Bay Napa Auto Parts playoffs. Welcome back where Justin Yee leads here for the Phoenix 200 here on LSR TV. The final race, the West Bay Napa Auto Parts playoffs in the Northwest Cup Series. Justin Prince, Greg Renz, plus we out with you with Charles Wooden in the director's seat. It's been one where attrition has been the name of the game so far. We've already had 2 DNFs, Scott Hutchinson, Ricky Belger. Everybody else currently either has used a fast repair in the majority of the pack or has had to deal with significant amounts of damage since the early portions of this race. And eventually you'd have to feel the attrition's going to finally calm down.
We had a nice green flag run there, not this past one, but the one before, and we thought that was going to be it. And I'm expecting to see another one like that here shortly. And we've only had 27 cars take the green flag. We've lost 2 drivers thus far. We've lost Ricky Bozer in the 42 and Scott Hutchinson in the number 91. Those are the 2 drivers that have fallen out of the session. Just 25 drivers left on the racetrack right now. 2 cars on pit road right now. Bryce Clark still getting some damage repaired. Carl Burke, who in that 53 car was behind Josh Beal in the 3 car when he had that spin, he's on pit road now, taking on 4 fresh tires a little bit after the fact here as the lights are still on. Believe we are on 2 to green. We're going to see the 1 to green next time. Justin, what are you thinking so far as what Justin Yee is doing with his number 66 leading every lap thus far? What have you noticed out of the Panda car?
Clean air is king. Simple as that, right? Even on short tracks. One of the main considering marks is when there was the high downforce package here, Greg. Dirty air was very difficult to try and pass other cars with. It almost looks like it's settling in a little bit once you get single file here so far, Greg.
Yeah, the key is going to be trying to get through these first few laps or so and settle things down like you just mentioned, because noticing much of the accidents have been because drivers are locked in a battle for position and they just overdrive the car a little bit, maybe get out of their groove that they want to be in, and it just knocks them into an area that they're not familiar with. So I'm thinking that's what it's going to have to be. We just got to get through these first 5 or so laps, get settled down, then we're going to be able to click some laps away.
Want to go signal? Justin Yee, Dan West Jr., Blake Peterson, Cole Raz, your top 4. Sean Brightsman and Seth Frazier side by side in row 3 for the championship lead. While Chris White, Kane Anderson, BJ Tidrick, Dan Lowther, your top 10. Your 4 championship contenders have all migrated their way to the top 10. Green flag waits up at the stand. Yee off and away again. And a lane change violation just been awarded. A lane change violation off that restart that time. And it's going to be for the race leader, Justin Yee. Had a lane change violation at the front of the field. He has the option to appeal if he so chooses, Greg.
Haven't seen anything yet out of the 66 car, but the caution comes out. The caution is out once again.
And it's for Beal again. Third caution off of him tonight. And it's the same mistake as before. Turn 4 exit, way too low.
Seen this a couple of times, not just out of Beal either. We saw it with Marcy earlier as well. Brock Denny behind him into number 64 checks up there. And right there, yep, the same thing.
And he has also spun it again in live action. He has gotten to the point where he's damaged the suspension significantly. It is not Beal's night.
Josh Beal definitely gonna want to forget about the way this night went. Still waiting for word on the 66 of Yee. They were discussing, the 66 team was discussing it there with race officials when that caution came out. Waiting for an official word on what is going to happen with the 66 of Yee. That's big because he had led every lap thus far. Have to wait and see, as nobody coming at least up front.
Nowhere quite yet. Jeff Stabenow, Josh Childers, John Audenbacher, Corey Walters, Tyler Kane, Brock Denny are the cars who elect to come down towards the back half of the field. Want to turn to you, Wesley, as these cars come into pit here, on some of your thoughts as they look to try and just top off yet again. Some of these cars only 15 laps in distance.
Yeah, it's very eventful so far. It's a lot of caution flags, and one thing that really impresses me is at least the top 4 that are fighting for the West Bay Napa Auto Parts Championship are right there within the crosshairs of one another. But right now, everyone still has their eyes on Sean Brightsman of that 46 machine. And what a story it would be for Sean if he was to win this Cup Series championship. Remember, of course, he missed one of the weeks in the previous round of the playoffs due to the holidays and had to fight and win. He won at Texas last week. That sealed the deal to allow him to be able to come here tonight and race for a championship. Sean Brightsman right now doing all he can do besides get to P1, because Justin Yee's been the class of the field. We'll have to see what happens with him on this penalty of the lane change violation. But right now, Brightsman just trying to be that first points car to cross the start-finish line and be crowned champion.
Expecting the one-to-go signal this upcoming time by. Thank you very much, Wesley. As Greg, your counterpoint to that and thoughts on that.
And it's been a very strong season for Brightsman all year, and like Wesley said, he came this close, Justin, to not even getting into the championship race. He needed to win that Texas and did it, and we've seen Brightsman do that all year long. And how many times have we seen Brightsman keep one up his sleeve until the later stages of the race? I bet you he's got an idea set up in that number 46 of something to try a championship, and it would be the most Sean Brightsman way for the championship race to end. But man, he's got to be worried about that Paul Bear's Funeral Parlor Ford Mustang behind him, because Seth Frazier, he has been very strong on these restarts, really been able to get up there with Brightsman. He's going to line up directly behind Brightsman on this restart with Cole Raz, the driver, in between them all. How about Caden Anderson? Used the fast repair in the number 37 and has worked his way back into the top 10 as well. Remember, Raz and Anderson trying to keep that streak alive of playing playoff spoiler for these guys. Two guys you're going to have to keep an eye on for the championship next year. So far right now as they line up, no penalty on the 66. Looks like they may have won the appeal.
We'll have to see. Have to make sure there is no lane change. For sure, he did come across, at least on our views. We'll have to see what race control has decided. He is in control of the field for now, though. Peterson, West Jr., Brightsman, Raz, Frazier, Anderson, White, Tidrick, Lowther, the top 10. First gear start this time for Justin Yee at the bottom of the racetrack. And a bit of contact as the green flag is out this time. A bit of bumping up in the front rows.
West Jr. trying to get in line behind Yee, and like you said, just a little bit of contact there. Raz trying to come up on the inside of Brightsman. That could open the door for Frazier, and it will. Seth Frazier takes a peek to the bottom there of Sean Brightsman. Remember, Cole Raz has a lot of damage on the right front of that car. He has been in communications with his crew, and they're letting him know how that car looks right now, as Raz is right now trying to drive it off as long as he can before having to take that fast repair up in the fourth. No doubt going to be a guy you got to watch for the race win here, as Brightsman falls in line behind him. Frazier in the battle with Anderson right now. Then you find Tidrick and Lowther, and Lowther almost 3 wide outside, but he's able to get away from it there. Lowther could have been in a scary situation right there.
And Caden Anderson, technical issue just now, maybe in a bit of trouble. He had just used his fast repair, so that may spell trouble for his chances in this race. We'll have to see how things play out with that situation with the 37 now. That, meanwhile, means Sean Brightsman has some space by about 0.2 of a second or so between him and Seth Frazier now, with no car as the bumper car. As Anderson indeed has had a technical issue that has now taken him out of contention this race.
So Caden Anderson, a great season for him. 2 wins on the year, but it looks like that's how it's going to end. We have ourselves a battle for the lead and the caution right then.
Carl Burke among the drivers involved.
Brock Denny, the Tucker Dog Special, involved.
Anderson apparently might have been involved in this one because his car is completely demolished, as no one knew where he was. Man, a calamity of errors building up.
See what happened here. Denny getting loose there in the 64, hits the inside wall, slides up the track. There's Frank Harris getting involved, so another tough one there as you saw Carl Burke slide in. Not sure what happened with Caden Anderson in number 37. We didn't see that on the initial replay.
You know what happened, and I've seen this once before, Greg, is in the case of Caden Anderson, when he had his technical issue, no one could see where he was on the track at all for a lap and a half. When that happens, sometimes drivers can accidentally drive through a car that may be there but is not physically felt or is seeable. For Anderson, that has demolished his race car after using his fast repair. So Caden Anderson definitely out of contention potentially as a result of some of the trouble here on his race car. A bit of damage now on that machine.
So Anderson, after having to use the fast repair, looks like his night may be done, and that is not how you wanted this one to end. How about it for Justin Yee, though? He was under pressure from Blake Peterson. Peterson was to his door in the number 09, so the caution's coming at those lucky times right now for Yee, who has still led every single lap. Anderson right now just going from... We're trying to get back on the lead lap. He did get the lucky dog there, but wow.
Yeah. Anderson is on the lucky dog because he was on the caution flag. I think he was still trying to get going in the on the apron 3 and 4, apparently.
Anderson is aware of the technical issues. As he was trying to communicate with not just his team, but race officials as well. In the midst of that, while he was trying to come back in and get that repaired, while he was trying to get back in, that's when the incident happened. So Anderson was aware of the technical issues before that happened. And unfortunately, while he was trying to get it fixed, that's when the incident happened.
So as everything's all been sorted out here and drivers are still trying to figure things out themselves here, keep in mind of the following. Justin Yee and Blake Peterson are now 24 laps into a stint for their tires, including all those pace laps. Tower King, Jeff Stabnow, John Onenbacher, Joshua Beal had pit on a previous caution. This caution, Dan West Jr., Cole Raz, Sean Brightsman, Seth Frazier, Chris White, BJ Tidrick, Dan Lowther, Devin West, Joshua Marcy, Josh Childress, Stefano Aher, Brock Denny, Casey Garber, Stephen Paulison, Carl Burke, all pit for their respective service. So The field has been flipped around like a deck of cards at least 25 times tonight, to say the very least.
The one stable thing as far as this race has gone thus far, Sean Brightsman has been the championship leader for pretty much since the drop of the green flag. So, but now he sits in 9th with Frazier right alongside him. Then you got Chris White separating the other two, BJ Tidrick and Dan Lowther. So all four of the championship four, they've been right there with each other. And by the way, Devin West, who had that issue early in the race, has worked his way back up to 15th.
Yeah, and those drivers that all ducked down to pit for 4 tires and fuel. This caution flag. Justin Yee has led every single lap so far in this one. We'll see how things fare out on this restart. Keep an eye on row number 3, where Joshua Beal involved in 3 incidents already. Will have to start on the outside and has already used his fast repair in this race. iRacing pace car is off. Green flag is out once more. And a massive check on the bottom line this time.
That big check up there by West, and that's going to allow Yee to get up in front of his teammate. Once again, notice he was very careful to make sure he was across the line.
Oh, trouble once again. Marcy gets tagged from behind from O'Hare. He saves it. We stay green as several cars scattering 2 to 3 wide in the dog leg.
Tyler King up to 3rd in the midst of all of that as he's able to get around Stab now. Oh, couple of the cars in the wall. Oh, and I believe Dan Lowther's one of them. Yes, a championship driver, Dan Lowther in the wall. Caution, yeah, this driver's very slow on the racetrack. Dan Lowther and Devin West involved, but that is the first time here tonight the championship 4 driver has had issues.
We stay green. They've already lost half a track as Dan Lowther is the one who bobbled right into Devin West on a checkup involving Chris White. That could be huge for the 63. We'll have to see how it all plays out as Seth Frazier continues to try and gain spots and take advantage of what has been a calamity-filled first couple laps off this restart.
And Lowther, unfortunately for him, he's got to ride it out. He has no other choice. He has to try to stay out there as long as he can and catch a caution to use that fast repair. He knows he can't sacrifice a lap, because if he does, he'd be kissing his championship goodbye if he loses a couple laps here on pit road. So Dan Lowther not catching the caution that he needed right there, and he's just going to have to ride it out right now. Heartbreak for the 60th of Lowther. Unfortunately, looks like we may have seen our championship contender go by the wayside unless Lowther can catch a break here.
Or use the fast repair. He's going to need a quick caution flag in the next 20 laps to be able to stay on the lead lap at this point. So for now, though, Frazier, he's gaining some time up on several of the cars. Tyler King, the next car up to pass. King gives him the space.
West Jr., the blocker for between Frazier and Brightsman right now. Frazier trying to put another one between him and Tyler King. He will do it. As West Jr. now to the inside of King as well, who pushes up racetrack. Seth Frazier right now a 2-car buffer over Sean Brightsman in the 46. Remember, Frazier said back in June that if he could get to this round, if he could get to the finals at Phoenix, he was very, very confident in his quest for a championship. And here he is leading the way right now, working lap number 76.
Oh, and Dan Lowther. Dan Lowther's elected to come down and use the fast.
Honestly, been on the outside looking in the entire way, but somehow at the cusp of the end, finding a way to go for a title. This Cinderella story now might be the end of the chapter, as they are going to do a fast repair. He quickly goes back down on the racetrack, completely fixed, but he's going to be a lap down and maybe more.
Took 2 tires on the number 63, so 2 fresh right side tires on Dan Lowther. 1 lap down right now. If he can catch a quick caution, he's got the lucky dog and he's going to be able to get himself back in the mix, but he needs a caution and he needs one very quickly.
And that was
I will say this though, guys, as many as the yellow flags have fell, this could be a good strategy for his favor.
Possibly. He is still in the lucky dog position. That's the bright side for him, as long as he stays in front of Justin Yee and the rest of the race leaders. That's the key thing to be able to keep himself in contention, as we're now in one of our longest green flag runs of the race. Our previous best 13 laps. Blake Peterson and one of his first starts of the season continuing to impress.
Peterson with a fantastic debut in his number 09 Hooters entry right now, the Ford Mustang. Or excuse me, that's a Chevy. Yeah, I looked at that wrong. That's a Chevy. That's a Chevy. My apologies. Cole Raz in another Chevy to the inside here. The first Ford is Seth Frazier in the number 32 in fourth place, who's leading the championship battle right now. He's hoping West Jr. can keep Brightsman at bay as long as possible right now to try to keep him back there. The good news for Dan Lowther, everyone else behind him is off the racetrack, out of the race right now. You've got Frank Harris on pit road, 12 laps down, and then Hutchinson and Bozer, who are sitting on the trailer. They've loaded up and have already cracked open the cooler for some adult beverages and enjoying the rest of the season. So Lowther in the number 63 in the lucky dog position right now, but Bryce Clark is next up to go a lap down, about 11 seconds ahead, and he's in trouble. Bryce Clark in the infield wall. Dan Lowther going to get around him. Caution is out before the field catches up to Clark. Dan Lowther's got the lucky dog.
And he just got the lucky break indeed. So it's Bryce Clark in the 93 who goes around, and the Cookie Monster that's on his front bumper ends up getting the worst of it.
Look at what happened. I was watching him here. He just went on the apron and the car just snapped on him. Right here, he goes down on the apron and right there, it just breaks loose and he noses it into the wall. Tough break for Bryce Clark.
So that may bring just about everybody down towards the pit lane possibly here. We'll have to see. About 12, 13 more laps turned. We'll have to see as Justin Yee has led every single lap once more in this race, coming up to 118, coming to 117 laps to go this time by.
Getting set to come to pit road.
We'll see if they fake it out or not. Justin Yee looking, and is going to commit. Wesley.
Yeah, here comes the whole cavalry on pit lane for the second time as we approach the century grind in this race. Lap number 83 of 200, halfway, quickly approaching. Justin Yee doing a phenomenal job. Doing great in that 66 machine. Peterson, Raz, Frazier, West, Jr., Brightsman, White, Childress, all these drivers, again, as I had mentioned, down to the top 23 coming into the pit lane. It's going to be 4 tires and fuel for a lot of these drivers, all doing well as we approach halfway. And again, what a strategy for the driver of Dan Lowther, doing what he needed to do after having his problem, taking the quick repair, doing 2 tires. Here comes the crew off pit road, and it's going to be first Yee again. Same old song, new verse, second time again, coming off with everyone else. Yee is doing a phenomenal job. And actually, my apologies, they're saying Lake Peterson was off the pit lane first in the 09. And this driver I'm really impressed with here, seeing his talents. Looking forward to seeing what he can do next season in the Northwest Cup Series whenever we return.
So our pole sitter back up to the front of the field as a result of pit box number 1 indeed. Thank you very much, Wesley. So it was Peterson, Yee, Raz, Frazier, West Jr., Brightsman, White, Childress, Kane. It was your race off the lane with Tidrick in 10th position. Greg, as we approach halfway, your thoughts on how this race has played out so far, especially with the attrition?
Definitely not what we expected to see. I figured we would have seen a long green flag run by now, and like you mentioned, the longest one, a couple of around 13 laps here so far. Definitely not what we expected out of this race, so wondering what's going to happen the rest of the way. And I'm going to keep my eye on the 63 of Lowther. He's got himself back on the lead lap, got the fast repair used. Problem is he doesn't have it in the bank anymore, so now we're going to see if he can get himself back up to the front here.
We'll see. These two have been working together all race long. Cole Raz, the highest he's been now in a while. Dan West Jr., we've seen how quick he's been, was shuffled, as mentioned, to 5th. But when to go signal on the racetrack once again. 25 cars still running on the racetrack, and cold tires could be trouble once again. We've seen drivers struggle with the fresh tires in the mid-pack.
And that's going to be definitely, well, that's been the problem all day. You're right, Justin. Sorry, I kind of got tongue-tied there. That's been the problem all day because these drivers not able to get the heat in the tires, and we noticed that especially at the start of the race. We were really having a hard time getting a good run in, but once we were able to settle things down a little bit, we got a good run in. Unfortunately, it just seems like every time we get settled in, something happens, which is just causing this race to really not go the way anyone expected it to. So kind of surprised by the way it's going, but now we've got a new leader up front. Justin Yee's led every lap, but Lake Peterson going to take his turn out front as the green flag falls. Contact between West Jr. and Raz on the start, and that was big contact.
And Raz was trying to actually push the race leader forward a little bit. A tactic seen in real life. That time doesn't work out for Raz. West Jr. now with some damage as a result. Brightsman now trying to take advantage on the high side of those drivers. Seth Frazier was able to jump up to third. Contact behind them. Dan West Jr. across the front nose of Josh Childress. Nearly got spun around. That could have got very dicey.
That was a very nice heads-up piece of driving by Josh Childress to let off the throttle just enough to let West Jr. by in the number 55. And then Childress was able to carry it through, use that crossover, and get by. So now West Jr., who had a very strong car early in this race, was up as high as second, is suddenly in trouble after the heavy hit to the back of Raz. He has fallen outside the top 5. Oh, and he breaks loose there off of turn number 4. So Dan West Jr., he is in trouble now, Justin, in the 55.
Lots of aero damage, including on that spoiler, as Chris White up high and nearly smacks the wall.
Able to keep it off the wall for now. Brightsman, meanwhile, up in front of them, is locked in a battle with Cole Raz in the number 10, able to clear. And what that has done has allowed Seth Frazier to get away from Brightsman just a little bit and try to reel in the teammates now. Yee and Peterson. Remember, Lake Peterson making his Northwest Cup debut, trying to lead laps here and try to get a win in his debut. Justin Yee said now that he had his teammate with them, he felt very good about his chances here, and here they are doing a nice job. 1-2 right now. They've been up front pretty much all day, but you're going to see a championship contender up in their mirror very quickly because here comes Frazier.
Highest running championship contender, and it helps that Sean Brightsman and Cole Raz have been side by side for about a lap and a half. That's for 4th position right behind him. You see that in the backdrop of the 32 machine, where that the more they fight, the more that builds a buffer for Frazier and company.
Seth Frazier trying to get up, get away from Brightsman and company, as Brightsman going to fall back now to Raz into number 10. He was able to fight his way back around Brightsman. Brightsman pushes up the track, and suddenly Sean Brightsman's in trouble, Justin, as he's going to lose a few spots here. He loses one to Childress. West Jr., Chris White falls through. Something may have gone south on the 46.
And Autumbacher nearly spins it into traffic down to the dog leg as well. So several cars with issues. The Team LSR TV cars all having issues at about the same time. Brightsman back to 8th. Autumbacher back to 23rd as a result. Both of them bad runs through 1 and 2, while Peterson and Yee have now pulled away by an extra half a second on Frazier.
Tidrick now to the inside of Brightsman, trying to take over the 8th position, but this is for 2nd in the championship battle. Tidrick to the inside of Brightsman, something going very sour on the handle of the 46 as Tidrick almost clear, not quite. Brightsman able to fight back, but Tidrick has the position. Corey Walters in trouble there off of turn number 4. Tidrick again with a big run through 1 and 2. He will clear Brightsman almost. Gonna need a big run here through the dog leg as Brightsman gets a nice run on the outside. Tidrick trying to clear Brightsman in the turn number 3. He does, and brings Devin West with him. BJ Tidrick to
Caution.
2nd, and right then the caution comes out.
It's Joshua Beal again for a 4th time tonight. Joshua Beal is not having a good time at Phoenix.
He's no doubt going to want to shake this one off and move on to the next one, which for the next one for this series is breaks loose there in turn number 1. Dave's at that time, unfortunately, was just enough to trigger the caution. No, he came back up, and there's where the caution came out. As Frank Harris takes out the blue cone there, which signifies the end of the blend line.
And he ends up nearly smacking into the wall too. So Joshua Beal not having a fun time as some of the drivers mixing up strategies here once more. Brightsman among the drivers electing to come down and pit. Bring you the details in just a moment. You're watching LSR TV for coverage of the Northwest Cup Series. It's the final race of the campaign for the Phoenix 200. Welcome back to LSR TV's coverage of the Northwest Cup Series, where we're approaching halfway and what has been an attrition one, to say the least. Caution flags approaching double digits. Of note, Sean Brightsman, Joshua Marcy, Stephen Paulison, Stephen O'Hare, Corey Walters, Tyler King, Carl Burke, John Ottenbacher, all pit this time by as well. A warning given for technical issues to Chris White's car in the 83, his car in 7th. Justin Prince, Greg Rest, once we went with you with Charles Wooden in the director's seat. It's been one where it's been tough to get long runs, surprisingly, so far in this one, Greg.
Yeah, it's definitely been interesting, and unfortunately, all these frequent restarts are starting to take its toll on some of these drivers. Got word from the crew of the 10 car of Cole Raz. Remember what happened on that restart when he didn't get it going on that last restart and got hit in the back by West Jr. What happened was he said that the car registered second gear as fourth gear, so he essentially went from first to fourth, so missing a shift on the 10 car is what caused that bottleneck there at the start of that one. So these frequent restarts also beginning to take its toll on the cars as well as we get going, as Chris White continues to have problems.
One to go signal this time by as Lake Peterson, Justin Yeet, 1-2, Frazier, Raz, Childress, West Jr., White, Tidrick, Davin West, Casey Garber. Wesley, like to go towards you for your take on this race as we approach halfway.
Well, I think you guys pretty much summed it up. It's been caution field. Still looking for that long green flag run. Ready to see if one of these drivers fighting for this championship can get up there and make something happen. And one of the things I have noticed is the resurgence in the strength from Seth Frazier, while Sean Brightsman is beginning to stumble and fall. He's now going to be inside the top 15 along with Dan Lowther and BJ Tidrick. Don't count out his Cinderella story just yet. He's also cracking into the top 10 in 7th as we come to green.
102 laps to go as once again Lake Peterson off and away. Seth Frazier, though, with a good launch, able to hold on to 3rd position.
Frazier, nice restart, though, to the inside of Yee, getting the nose in front. West Jr. in the wall on the 55 as he bounces off the wall. Keeps it going. As Tidrick now going to take a look to the inside of the 55. I'm watching the 46 of Brightsman right now, Justin, after taking the pit stop to see what he can do differently. And problems, Jeff Stabnow around and he noses into the wall.
And yet again, we are under caution, this time at halfway. These drivers are having a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at the reason. Let's take a look at the reason for this fun.
Here we go. We got the teammates right there, Jeff Stabnow and Sean Brightsman. And just like we've seen several times, they're off of turn number 4. Stabnow goes around, and I don't think that's the word that begins with F that Stabnow would use to describe that. But regardless, we're under caution again at the halfway point.
I'm going to borrow a quote from a race leader that's on his iRacing profile page, where hard work beats talent when talent refuses to work hard. And tonight, Have to say, a lot of that's been fitting with him and Justin Yee, where they've been working hard, and some of the talent has been really struggling.
There has been, this race is starting to get into territory that we're just like, man, what's going to happen next? And we've already seen a couple of championship contenders have issues. Brightsman having the issues there on that last restart. Lowther hitting the wall. Tidrick had issues before the green flag even fell. He had qualifying issues in the number 72. So, with that being said, what's next for not just our championship 4, but what's next for the rest of the race?
Lucky dog this time is Frank Harris, by the way, who is rolling, and have to feel for Frank Harris where just about every single incident he somehow has found, unfortunately, ways not in his control and most times to be involved in trouble. He is 14 laps now down as the lucky dog in the 11 car.
Frank Harris, he's one of those guys, Justin, who no doubt is going to be very, very happy when the checker flag falls tonight and his season is done and he can just reassess for next year. He has had the worst luck this season I think we've ever seen in an iRacing season. I think Frank Harris has had one of those years where if it can go wrong, it has gone wrong. It's been a very tough one for him in the 11. He's going to be very, very happy to see the checker flag here tonight.
Few more pace laps before we get back underway, and at this point somebody needs to realize with these mistakes, they've been similar mistakes each time. You run too hard on the gas here at Phoenix, you are snapping it around and everyone keeps on making the same mistakes.
Fortunately, it's just a matter of when it's your turn. And with that Stabnow one, we noticed that he got caught in that same spot that drivers have had the issues all day on exit of turn 4, getting a little bit too low. That one looked more like a product of he was just trying to hold on to the position and give Brightsman room and just got himself into that position. So with that being said, will you start seeing drivers be a little more aggressive on corner entry as to take their room to make sure they're in the preferred line?
You would have to think they would adjust to that at this point. It's been amazing, though, with some of the troubles we've seen. One to go. Let's see how long this run goes. Peterson, Yee, Frazier, Raz, Childress, Tidrick, Garber, Devin West, Brock Denny, Sean Brightsman in 10th. Good recovery for Brock Denny in the 64, have to say, +7. And a great recovery for Devin West from the speeding penalty.
And remember, Devin West had already climbed up into the top 5 once today from the 21st starting position. He has just climbed into the top 10 again in the number 5. So a great job by Devin West. I think Devin has passed the most cars here tonight in the Arizona desert so far. As lights are out on the pace car, we'll see what comes up here on this restart. Peterson has led since about lap 80 or so, with Yee in second, but he's got Frazier and Raz, two of the fastest cars in the series behind him. We'll see what happens here on this restart.
Green flag once again. 96 laps to go, just past halfway. Lake Peterson. This time side by side with Justin Yee. Seth Frazier not as good of a launch. Cole Raz with a bit of a squeeze in 1 and 2. Oh, and they nearly all clapped the wall just about, going down the back straightaway as Frazier up to second.
Nice move there by Frazier. Oh, but he pushes up the track and he has to chase it up. Ooh, Seth Frazier, he wants to get up there and get himself into the lead and get away from his teammate BJ Tidrick, who has climbed up into 6th. Frazier realizes the heat is coming. He wants to get up there and try to lead this race and really put the pressure on for the championship.
He said it himself. He feels Phoenix is one of his best tracks. He's been showing that he's been one of the best drivers from the playoffs who are fighting for a championship so far tonight. His contenders around him. BJ Tidrick is in 6th. Sean Brightsman in 9th. Dan Lowther's in 12th.
And the nice recovery for Lauder as well. As remember, he got pinned the lap down, had to take the fast repair and catch a lucky dog. Did just that in the 63. Now he's up in the 12th. He's only a couple of cars back right now of Breitzman and Tidrick right now. So Lauder is not out of this yet. We thought for sure he was in serious trouble, but he got the lucky break, and here he is. Devin West with a big slide in the number 5 car right in front of Sean Breitzman, who they all have to check up, and they're sliding all over the place behind this. Things are getting really hairy out here.
Oh, and one car now to the apron. To the bottom of the racetrack, that was Brock Denny, who just let by Dan Lauder after nearly getting hit by his own teammate.
And Denny can get up there behind Lauder, up in front of Walters.
Interesting difference, by the way, with him. He has the logo of Tucker, the dog, on the back end of Denny's cars. We look back at Tidrick once again. Yee is really struggling this run all of a sudden.
Yeah, something's gone sour on Justin Yee in the number 66, the Panda Express car, as he gets passed now for the 5th spot by Cole Raz. How about Josh Childress up in 3rd now in the 97? After being caught up in an incident earlier in this one, he's climbed up into the top 3 as Tidrick tries to wheel around on the outside there, trying to get a run now on Yee as West tries to hold off Breitzman. Casey Garber up in the mix as well before you find Dan Lauder as the Tucker Dog Special. Brock Denny continues to fall.
Keep in mind that Breitzman is also trying to fall behind Tidrick at the moment. He's now up to 7th position again. Casey Garber and Devin West now also scrapping behind them. Again, Anderson in 20th position after his incidents. Prior to one of the caution flags. Still 89 laps to go for the Phoenix 200 here on LSR TV. It's the final race of the Northwest Cup Series campaign. Who will take home the title? We'll see in just a bit. Let's take you side by side. You're watching LSR TV.
We're based out of West Monroe, Louisiana. We do custom T-shirts, racing. We'll do any shirt. We'll do schools, churches, fundraisers. We do a ton of event shirts, as you can see on our board here, all around our banner. Personalized. I mean, we do anything. It doesn't matter to us. We got the custom rugs. We use all the, top quality shirts, inks and everything. Hoodies, hats. We do embroidered hats, embroidered shirts. Just you can call us for anything. We do offer the bag and fold to where you can receive them and they're already labeled and tagged and bagged, ready to give out to your customer and stuff. So you just call us and just tell us, hey, this is what we're looking at doing, and if we're going to put the car on there, it is 125 quantity minimum. If it's without the car, it's 60 quantity minimum. That's strictly on the racing stuff. If it's a business or something, if you race on Texas shirts, it's a little bit differently. You can call us. It just depends on your quantity and ink colors. Everything is hand drawn. I mean, everything. We don't Photoshop anything onto a shirt or anything like that. Everything that we go through, everything is drawn, and which is the reason for the art fees. We do have several graphic artists that draw for us, and they're really good. So what we do is on any package that you do, we can mix and match. We can do any colors. You can do purple, red, blue, green, and do the rest black. It doesn't matter to us. With your design on there, we can do hoodies. We can do hoodies, long sleeve shirts, t-shirts, tank tops. It doesn't matter. I mean, it's almost limitless what you can do, and you can put all that together in that package to make that minimum requirements. They can call us 318-278-7191, or they can email us at bulletprooftees at yahoo.com, or they can go to the website bulletprooftees.com.
Welcome back to LSR TV's coverage of the Phoenix 200 for coverage of the West Bay Napa Auto Parts Playoffs Championship 4 race. Where at the moment, the championship leader is Seth Frazier. The race leader is Lake Peterson. Once again, all your playoff drivers competing for the championship are in blue on your scoring pylon. Justin Prince alongside Greg Rentz, Leslie Outland, and Charles Woodington in the director's seat for tonight's action, where so far we have now had our longest green flag run of the race. Already past 13 laps this run. And what is now looking like the trend starting to go that direction after the in-sim time. past about nearly 5 p.m. just moments ago.
Yeah, the lights are going to come on here very shortly as the sun continues to set, and Justin Yee is getting really loose both on entry and exit. He got really slideways off of turn number 4 and then really slideways again in turn number 1, and that opened the door for Brightsman to get the spot back from the number 46 or 66. So Brightsman begins to chip back away towards Frazier.
Oh, and more contact as Beal again gets hit. No caution as Corey Walters spins it on the apron now. That may trigger it. No, instead they go into the pits and nearly stop the cars.
And Beal has no choice but to come down pit road after having to come to a stop on the apron. We were able to stay green there. And you know what? Josh Beal's just going to say, well, I'm on pit road. Might as well hit my pit stall and get some freshies after that one.
It has been a rough night for Joshua Beal. 5 incidents. 5 for Beal in this race. Not his night. Jeff Stabenow was also involved in incidents. We look back at Brightsman. Josh Childress has been losing the rear tires as this run has progressed now, though.
Wonder how long the stint is for Josh Childress, because remember, we looked up and all of a sudden he was up in the top 5. So I want to know when the last time Childress came down and got tires was in that number 97. See if we can get the last pit stop on Childress, because he, I believe, has been out there for a while and is really starting to show as Brightsman able to get by 37 laps and counting right now for Childress since the last time he was on pit road.
When the caution laps and that little difference of the heat cycle maybe coming in, and the caution is out.
There it is.
And this time it is Caden Anderson, believe.
37.
He was rolling.
Swag replay.
He was rolling slow in 1 and 2. And he was trying to keep up with Carl Burke here. We'll see what happened through 1 and 2. Just lost it.
And Anderson was very frustrated after the connection issues earlier in the race. Very, very frustrated down in the 37 camp. So that's just going to add to it.
Wesley, let's turn things over to you, because with several drivers already nearly 40 laps in, it's pit stop time.
Yeah, it's not the money stop just yet, but yeah, they're coming down to the pit lane for sure. As you see, everyone led by Peterson. Frazier running for that championship right now, the number 2 spot. Cole Rash, Sean Brightsman, Childress, Yee, Tidrick, West, Marcy. West, Devin West, White, the top 10. They're all going to work and cycle their way back around as the sun begins to virtually set here at the Phoenix Raceway at the Valley of the Sun. Going to be 4 tires and fuel on the setup for the driver that you see right there at pit stall P1. Lake Peterson doing a phenomenal job so far. We mentioned also Justin Yee and what he did. There's Sean Brightsman coming off pit lane. Right there, nip tuck right in front of behind him is also Frazier. Everyone else there coming off the pits is 2, but it's Lake Peterson. He'll get in first. He'll come off first. Frazier, Raz, Brightsman, Yee, your top 5 as they get ready to go back to racing. Under 75 laps to go here at Phoenix.
It's going to be fun to see who comes away with the title at this point, but Frazier and Brightsman have indicated they've been the best of the best out of this grouping so far, Greg, in what has been, while attrition filled, they've been usually close to one another.
And remember, Lowther and Tidrick both said, hey, Sean and Seth are going to be the favorites. We both are just happy to be here and try to be there at the end for it. So Brightsman and Frazier have been far and away the strongest here so far in this championship battle. Brightsman, remember, was leading that for the first 60 or so laps. Frazier was finally able to get around him on a restart, and then Frazier was really able to put his head down and put some distance between himself and Brightsman. Now they're going to be lined up directly behind each other. So with that said, here, Justin, what are you expecting to see out of Brightsman? Now he's going to be lined up directly behind Frazier when we go green now.
I think you have to expect him almost to try and get the squeeze on Cole Raz and get the pass done. If he doesn't get the pass done, we've seen it and talked about it, Greg. That costs you about a second, a lap of running side by side. It's going to be a critical, all-important start. Yes, with 77 laps to go to try and take control of that momentum. By the way, your wave rounds, Harris and Beal, this caution flag. Peterson, Frazier, Raz, Brightsman, Yee, your top 5. Your thoughts on that strategy point, Greg, to try and pounce early?
Just trying to, or for the Lucky Dogs, they're just trying to get themselves back into a position that they can get themselves back on the lead lap, perhaps. Josh Beal, the only car pinned 1 lap down. But to answer your question, trying to pounce here with Brightsman to get around Frazier early, honestly, I think that's the way he's going to have to do it, because we've seen on the longer run, from what we've seen so far, I think the 32 has been stronger than Brightsman. On the longer run, Brightsman seems to be stronger on the short run, and I think that's what was helping him in the early stages, was all those short runs that we had. So he's going to have to make his move early.
Peterson already getting shoved hard by Cole Raz as the green flag waves again. 75 laps to go from Phoenix. And Peterson this time able to get himself clear. Cole Raz, meanwhile, keeping it hard and side by side with Frazier for the race lead. Frazier looking to try and pull back up to the front for the first time all day, and does. New race leader in 3 and 4. Who will get at the stripe is the big question. Frazier looking for his first laps in this championship fight.
And Peterson able to fend them off for now as around goes Childress in the 97. I was very surprised Childress didn't come, or very surprised with Childress and what he was able to do on those older tires. Unfortunately, there it's going to spin out on that restart, and we got a caution once again.
I believe he actually got pinballed into by Joshua Marcy, who got loose out of 3 and 4 this time.
Look on the replay, that's Marcy right there in the 35. West Jr. bobbles behind him. Come off turn number 4. Yeah, Marcy broke loose. You saw it right there, and nowhere for Childress to go. And Dan Lowther was able to squeak through that. The championship contender in this one was able to just squeak through. That's the second time today Lowther's had to really cut down to the bottom to dodge a incident as far as dodging another spinning car.
So back in our yellow again. At this point, what do you do if you're a championship contender? This could come down to a final pit stop at this rate, when you elect to come down and pit with the way these are trending.
Oh, here's my question. Her follow-up question to that before I answer that is Sean Brightsman. Will he try to go off strategy? When will he do it? But for me, if I'm a championship contender, the way this is going, I don't know when I want to pit. I'm not sure yet, because I don't want to sacrifice that track position and find myself deep in the hole. I mean, look at what happened with Lowther. He found himself in a hole not of his own doing. He got caught up in the incident, but look how long it's taking him to get up here back into this position in 12th place right now. Man, it's a tough call to sacrifice all that track position. Even at the very start of the race, when Tidrick pitted at the very start, we were scratching our heads. So if I'm a championship contender, I'm wanting to pit with the other 3. So the guy I don't want to be in his shoes right now is Seth Frazier.
Yeah, so they get the one to go next time by. This has been one where, keep in mind, fuel is going to be a premium too, because we talked about not being the money stop yet, and we're expecting, of course, more cautions. The fuel mark to make it to the end is right around here, right now in this race.
Do you think we'll see maybe on the next caution a couple of cars come in, maybe not take tires if they can catch it early, but we'll see a couple of cars come in to try to top off just so they know they can make it to the end on fuel?
I mean, with the unlimited tire sets, the way it's trending, wouldn't be surprised to take the tires too, Greg.
Yeah, for sure. That's definitely something you can do. Don't at all be surprised. And this is where you really start wondering what's cooking in the mind of that 46 car, Sean Brightsman, the master strategist here of the Northwest Racing Series. So many wins this season on strategy. No tires, 2 tires, 4 tires when everyone else came or stayed out on the track. Stays out and wins races. Sean Brightsman gets it done with the gamble, got himself in the championship, and right now, with about 70 laps to go on this restart, you know the gears are beginning to turn in Brightsman's head right now. What am I going to do, and when am I going to do it?
Here's something to think about too, by the way, with the way this race is trended. There is a time limit of 2 hours and 25 minutes. We are now under 1 hour towards that mark. Just to keep that for reference sake for the final 70 laps up on the board. So if this trend continues of cautions breed cautions, that may become a factor in this championship scrap.
We've seen it before. Sorry, Justin. We've seen it before on LSR TV where time limits come into play. But how heartbreaking would that be for our drivers to have it come down in the championship race as the green flag falls?
Off and away as Lake Peterson got tapped twice by Cole Raz, who wanted to go early. Seth Frazier not as good of a launch as before. Side by side for second. He claps the NASCAR logos against the wall. Sean Brightsman also stuck on the top line.
I believe Dan West Jr. did get the wall in the 55 deeper in the field as he tries to settle things back down. Frazier trying to fall in line behind Cole Raz. They almost get together as Frazier gets a big run on the outside there. I think they thought they were clear of each other and they realized it at the same time and they kind of split there to make sure nothing happened. Boy, scary moment there for the 32 of Frazier.
And this is helping Sean Brightsman reel in as Brightsman doesn't want to take the dog leg this time. Raz still can't get himself fully clear. Brightsman now trying to arc it down, trying to line it up as Raz gets loose off the corner. Here comes Frazier. He gets to second at the stripe.
To get the run on the outside. Brightsman is there. He breaks loose as he has to check up. This is allowing Justin Yee to get back into the mix. Devin West is there as well. Championship battle on the line right now between Frazier and Brightsman, who pushes up the track, lost the nose of the 46, and he's going to lose the spot to Yee. Not quite clear. They get together. Justin Yee fighting inside wall, West in the wall, and we're going to have a caution again.
And, oh boy, this one's going to be interesting to look at because Yee had to save it for half a straightaway. How did the 55 get into all this is the question.
Well, this is a very potent thing right here. Look who's right behind West Jr. Championship contender BJ Tidrick. Did he get a piece of this as it goes off? You're going to barely see it right there. Yee break loose. West just lost it. And Tidrick was able to get by.
Almost looks like so tight he was loose.
The wall goes West, and remember, I thought I saw him hit the wall at the start of that run, so something has gone definitely sour on the 55's handle. I wonder if he had some damage from that earlier spell where he was in trouble that may have still been affecting him. I think he was saving the fast repair to when he absolutely necessary, and I think he may have to take it now, no choice.
At this point, potentially, as Peterson brings them down the front stretch, and more mixed strategy. No, top runners will stay out. Taking our step aside. You're watching the Phoenix 200, and what has been a attrition-filled one from the desert. .64 to go, this time by where Lake Peterson is in control of the pack. Justin Yee, who was dominant early on in this race, hit the wall, did not come down and get repairs done on his 66. The drivers who came down to pit were Childress, Paulison, West Jr., Burke, and Anderson. Justin Prince, Greg Rentz with you. Wesley Owen also in the pit lane, with Charles Wood in the director's seat. And Wesley, want to get your take on how this race is trending, because there's been a lot of pit stops, a lot of people getting repairs done and hammering down the deck lids essentially. What's kind of your take on how this is trending? We're in double-digit caution flags for this one.
Oh man, it's been an eventful race. I mean, you know, it's not that it's not being entertaining. It's just been very caution-filled, and sometimes we have that. And you know, I mean, last night I did a broadcast last night when I was on the air for almost 9.5 hours, and you know, it's just the nature of the beast, I guess. And this is the last race of the year, so. I mean, you know, we're seeing a trend of new drivers and showing what talents they have, and we're seeing also a lot of veteran guys that have ran all season long have mistakes with some of these newbies. So, will they make the time limit, or make it before the time limit expires? I don't know. I mean, it's just typical Phoenix, I guess, pretty much.
Yeah, Phoenix can be an intriguing one, Greg, when it comes to iRacing, where you can get these precautions types of races. Sometimes you'll get those early cautions, long runs to end off a race, or the middle of the race. Unfortunately, it seems we got the first of those two combos.
And we've seen both of that style here in the past this year. We've seen races at Phoenix that are like this, where we have double-digit cautions, and we've seen races that go, 100-lap races that go 96 laps before we even see the first caution. So it's just a matter of what you get and when you get it. And unfortunately, like you said, we've gotten the option A, which we did not want to see, as the green flag falls.
Like Peterson this time with a good launch. Of note, Joshua Beal, after being involved in 5 caution flags, is out of the car. Dan Lowther among the drivers fighting. BJ Tidrick amongst the cars stuck on the top side. Seth Frazier trying to get to the inside of Cole Raz for second position. Can't get there as Sean Brightsman tries to get to his outside for the championship lead.
Brightsman fighting on Frazier, looking to the bottom. This is for the championship lead. And remember, as the time limit begins to tick closer and closer, now you really have to start paying attention to those blue bars on your screen. Frazier, Brightsman, Tidrick, Lowther. Those are your drivers fighting for the championship as they try to reel things in and get themselves that last push for a championship. Time limit coming up with 60 laps to go this time by. Going to be close.
Especially if the cautions keep on flying. That's going to be the major indicator of if it becomes a factor. But Brightsman, good run out of turn 2. Trying to use the dog leg. Can't get there in turn 3 quite yet. Looking like Frazier is a little bit better in 3 and 4. Brightsman is struggling exit turn 4 with that loose condition we've been seeing all day as he gets to the inside of the 32.
Yeah, Frazier had a problem there as well. As we got more trouble going on in the back, we're going to see another caution. One of the Kid Anderson cars may have been Brock Denny. Yes, it was. Spun off turn number 4. The 64 goes around, and we have another caution.
So Tucker went for a ride this time.
Well, Tucker had his seatbelt on.
Tucker's on the back TV panel. But let's see what happened here. And yet again, the bottom monster strikes.
Has to check up, and it snaps around on him. Backs it into the wall there.
58 to go. At this point, this is going to be intriguing how this all intrigues and plays out.
Going to be bizarre for sure. We've run out of terms to think of how this race has gone, because it seems like we've run through every single term possible to describe this race, and we still have over 50 laps to go. Cole Raz fakes him out. I thought Cole was coming.
Justin Yee, BJ Tidrick, Stefan O'Hare, John Ottenbacher, Tyler Keenan, Wesley.
Yeah, here they come on the pit lane again, and can't really say you're at the money stop level just yet, and this has just been another opportunity for drivers to take on 4 tires and fuel, and we'll see what type strategy they possess here. As right now we see other cars into the pit lane. Stephen Paulison is in. John Ottenbacher. They've had kind of a quiet night, not any problems, but just basically just being not in contention. Jeff Stabnow, we talk about the crazy roller coaster ride he had down the stretch before the playoffs and eliminating his chance for a championship. Tyler King, Stephen O'Hare, all these drivers now exiting off the pit lane. Back on track.
So those drivers cycle to 15th on back. And now it becomes the question of, when does everyone else have to come down? Brock Denny, despite the spin, did not come down in pit, by the way.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
So he is on very heated up tires in the 64.
He's going to gain 7 spots because of that. It was 20th after the spin, and he's now going to be mid-pack. So Tucker, definitely make sure you buckle up now, because we don't know what's about to happen.
You're going to have to explain who Tucker is to me.
So Tucker is Brock's dog. That is Brock's actual dog, and he brings him to the racetrack with him in the course of the summer. He lives over in Montana, and he comes down and races with us because his track closed. So he brings Tucker with him, and Tucker is, Brock will admit it, Tucker is more popular than he is. Everybody in the pits always goes up and says hi to Tucker, and they give Tucker treats and all that, and then they're like, oh, hi, Brock, and they walk away. So Brock's like, you know what? Tucker's the more popular guy, so I'm just going to put him on my cars and trucks moving forward.
Maybe he should make all his cars designed like a dog as well, or like Tucker. Like,
we've been trying to get him to do it, just he hasn't pulled the trigger on him yet. He said he would. He promised us he would. He just hasn't done it yet. But we've got Tucker on board on the back. That's a start.
Getting ready to start off again in this race, under 55 laps to go, as Cole Raz will be on the outside of Lake Peterson. Frazier is in 3rd, Brightsman in 4th, Devin West, Casey Garber, then Chris White, Joshua Marcy, Dan Lowther's up to 9th with all the caution flags, Childress in 10th, Burke is in 12th behind Dan West Jr. BJ Tidrick, of note on the less heat cycle tires, is in 15th position. 54 to go when the green flag flies again. Expectations, Greg?
More of the same. Honestly, at this point, it's just become a definite that we're going to have more yellows. It's just what's going to happen next. So step up and place your bets right now, ladies and gentlemen. 3 chances to win. Who's the next caution? What's the next caution? When's the next caution? Green flag.
Off and away as Peterson with a good launch, and Frazier side by side with Brightsman yet again. This time, though, clipping the apron was Frazier. Brightsman with a bit more of a squeeze. Frazier, though, with a dog leg, nearly snapped it around with the transition.
Nice job by Frazier to hold on to it, but the problem is with that breaking loose there on the apron transition, that allowed Brightsman to get a run, but the caution is out.
And it's
once
BJ
again.
Tidrick. Tidrick is in it.
Championship contender, BJ Tidrick.
And he's taking responsibility, as that may be a faster pair being used right here, where he lost the brakes and hit John Ottenbacher hard in turn 3.
Take a look. That's Ottenbacher above him in the green 89. Going off into turn number 3. Oh, just came up the track and right into Ottenbacher.
And
Frank Harris piles in as well.
Frank Harris almost went full throttle into that.
Can go wrong. It will go wrong for Frank Harris. So now, this is what BJ Tidrick talked about at the start of the race, Justin. He said, well, I got the fast repair. I don't want to use it early. We're coming up on the 3/4 mark. This is good enough for Tidrick. Late enough in the race, he doesn't have to worry about it. Take the fast repair and then try to pick him off again one at a time.
I mean, he doesn't have a TV panel at this point, so you kind of have to at this point. Dan Lowther also elected to pit this time, by the way, among your playoff drivers. Lucky Dog, this caution, Corey Walters at the number 9 car. 23 cars are still in the lead lap.
Dan Lowther came down pit road from 13th position to take on 4 tires. So he's going on the same strategy now as his teammate Tidrick, who's going to have the fast repair.
To reset your top 10, Lake Peterson, Cole Raz, Sean Brightsman, Seth Frazier, Devin West, Casey Garber, Josh Childress, Chris White, Carl Burke, Justin Yee. We'll take a step aside. Our coverage coming up right after this. $50 to go this time by in what has been a unique championship finale here for the Northwest Cup Series. Justin Prince, Greg Rentz was with you, Charles Wooden in the director's seat for what has been a caution brigade of a race. So far, Peterson along with Yee have been the drivers in control of the pack much of the night, but with the cautions approaching 20 laps, it's going to be entertaining to see how this plays out. 49 to go. Greg, this championship comes down to what has been an intriguing one.
And that's not the only aspect in this as well. 50 to go. We are under 50 minutes to go in the time limit. We are closing in on a half hour left in the time limit. We are getting very close to having this race cut short on time. This is going to add an extra wrinkle into this as well. Lost in all this, how about the fact that Lake Peterson and Justin Yee have combined to lead just about every lap this race? Actually, I believe they have combined for every lap this race.
Basically. Coming up to the green flag. Off and away. Lake Peterson, Cole Raz on the front row, Sean Brightsman and Seth Frazier fighting for the championship as Sean Brightsman is now into third spot. He is now in the lead for the championship.
Got around Frazier on the restart. That is huge for Brightsman.
Needs to get a buffer car just in case, though, because Frazier is still stuck on the top with Devin West underneath him at the moment. Cole Raz not giving up, though, in second. 48 to go.
And Cole Raz is aware of the time limit as well. He knows it's go time in that number 10. He knows it is running down, and he knows they might not get the full 200 laps in the way this race is unfolding, so he is going to be going for the win now in the number 10 as Frazier comes fighting back on the outside, checking in with Lowther and Tidrick, trying to make their way up through the field. Lowther in 17th, Tidrick 22nd, both of them with the last-ditch Hail Mary right now to try to get themselves back in as Frazier and Brightsman go side by side for the championship again.
Frazier this time really trying to pinch down the quarter panel of Brightsman's car. Brightsman, though, able to get
around the wall. It was Yee.
Also had Corey Walters have trouble in the 9 car, so he's now currently off circuit. That car was another competitor, Bryce Clark, having some trouble as well at the rear of the field. But side by side, Frazier, better run.
Oh, problems in the back, stab now around, and we're going to go yellow again.
Here we go again. Brock Denny, Dan West Jr. also having issues in a separate checkup. 45 to go. Let's take a look at the cause for this one.
Got loose off of turn number 4. That's Carl Burke right beneath him, and Tyler King there as well. Now, I saw Stabnow break loose, overcorrected into the wall, if I saw it correctly. Right there, bounces off Burke into the wall, comes down right in front of, I believe that's Caden Anderson, and Island again. Corey Walters, technical issues, dropping out of the race.
So that takes him out of contention and reduces the amount of cars running to 23 for this yellow. .44 to go. And this is around the mark where drivers have been able to stretch it the longest. Many drivers, though, are already 34 laps on their tires since. Who will come down this time is the big question mark already. Like Peterson staying out. Brightsman and Frazier also stay out. Just about everybody stays out except for Chris White.
And I thought for sure we were going to see Brightsman come down that time and play his strategy card. I thought for sure Brightsman was thinking about it.
Absolutely.
I gotta say, as some of these drivers pull in, I love the mind games that Brightsman and Frazier have been playing each other there on pit entry. Am I coming? Am I not? Am I coming? Am I not? That is gamesmanship right there between the two drivers who, honestly, if you ask any of the contender drivers in this field, and maybe even if you would ask Tidrick and Lowther, those two right there, Frazier and Brightsman, were the favorites for the championship. And I love seeing the mind games that they're playing with each other all night long.
Have you ever been tricked into the pit barrels before? Though was the downside of that mind game?
I plead the fifth.
So how many times have you crashed into the barrels?
Well, do smash to pass races count, or are you talking about being faked out like that?
Faked out.
Once.
Where at and how?
It was Dover, I believe, in a truck race, if I recall. I was deep in the field, and we got an early caution, so I figured, hey, might as well. It was like lap 22 or so, and some of the other guys came down, so I just followed the guy behind me, and I was like, you know what, I'm just going to go with him. And then he decided to throw it to the right at the end, so I said, you know what, yeah, I'm going to stay out with him, and waited a little bit too long.
Wow. There's been one time where I've seen someone drive straight middle into them, not realizing what was going on at 1.2. It's so easy for that to happen, though. That's the thing, Greg.
It really is. And honestly, it depends on the track, too, as far as like or difficulty or non-difficulty for that. And Dover's one of those tracks that jumps out at you. And Phoenix, I'm honestly surprised we haven't seen it yet.
Drivers currently in the midst of warming up their tires to reset where your playoff drivers are. Brightsman and Frazier at the front are 3rd and 4th. BJ Tidrick is in 17th. Dan Lowther is in 13th. Drivers getting all set once again as Peterson and Raz still in the front row.
Half an hour left in the race.
Give or
Time limit,
take.
by the way. Yeah. We're in that ballpark. Now, 42 laps to go. We need to click off a long green flag run here to really settle things down. We run about 30 seconds under green, but caution laps are over a minute. So these guys need to start clicking them away, or else that is going to come into play at the end.
And I think as drivers, you do not want a championship decided by a time limit.
No, absolutely not. You want this race to go the whole distance, and the way this race has gone, you got to think overtime is also an option if we can get to that point. The way this race has gone, that would also be cut short because of the time limit if we get into that bracket.
Green flags out. Peterson off and away yet again. Bit of tire spin from some of the drivers in the mid pack, but Brightsman able to keep it to the inside of Seth Frazier's car while Frazier gives the squeeze again. Frazier all the way up to the safer barrier. Brightsman all the way down the dog leg. Side by side for the championship lead. And again, Brightsman pushes up nearly into Frazier's doors. They're still side by side.
Brightsman, remember, we talked about, was a little bit stronger on the short run, but it seemed like after a few laps, Frazier's car really began to come to him as we see it once again breaking out behind him. Brightsman got loose off of turn number 2, and that's going to give Frazier the nose in front as they begin to bobble again behind the field as Dan West Jr. and Carl Burke slipping and sliding around. Frazier clears Brightsman on the outside. Move Frazier back into the championship spot as Brightsman fights back, breaks loose again. Big slide out of Brightsman.
And that puts him up for grabs for Devin West to try and pounce on him as a result of that mistake. While Dan Lowther is trying to gain back several positions, he is stuck in the midst of traffic and nearly gets in the door. Tyler King on top of things as John Ottenbacher attacks him.
Big slide back there from Chris White as well in the 83 behind all that. As Lowther trying to get away from Tidrick, who's trying to charge his way through the field here late. Tidrick and Lowther trying to throw the Hail Mary after taking the fast repair. Get up there with Frazier and Brightsman. By the way, West has cleared Brightsman, and now Garber to the outside of Brightsman. Frazier has a buffer, and it could be two before too long.
That's not what Sean Brightsman needed to see at this point of the race. Lights are starting to turn on above the racetrack. We're already approaching in-sim time, about 5:30 for these competitors here at Phoenix. The drivers took the green flag at in-sim time, 3 p.m. for qualifying. It's been that type of a day. Keep in mind the track conditions as well. Partway quality skies have dropped to their lowest conditions yet. 73 degrees. Grip levels are on the rise across the track.
Justin Yee just caught the wall again in the 63. His right side of the car is really beginning to be beat up in that number 66. So we got to keep an eye on him as well. As Dan Lowther to the inside now, trying to fend off Tidrick as problems for John Ottenbacher. No, it was Dan Lowther. Big problems for Dan Lowther, the playoff driver. He may have caught the wall again.
It was the last time by in 3 and 4 where Ottenbacher gave him the door and shuffled Lowther back all the way to 19th position as a result. Dan Lowther not going to be happy on that one, to say the very least, with contact for the non-playoff driver in the battle for 12.
And that could be the end of Lowther's night and championship, because he already had used the fast repair, and you can see the significant damage on the right side. That could be the end of Dan Lowther's playoffs right there.
Taking a look at some of those cars scrapping around John Ottenbacher. Ottenbacher struggling too. Chris White trying to make some moves. Tower King, despite damage, able to still make some moves as well.
Fighting with everything they've got. They are slipping and sliding all around us right now. Chris White's loose. They got Brock Denny in front of him. Tyler King slipping and sliding. Josh Marcy's back there in the number 35. King trying to get up on the inside of Ottenbacher to get the spot. Things beginning to settle down there now. That got really hairy for a second as Tidrick up to 11th now, trying to reel in Carl Burke for 10th. About half a second between them as they come across the line. Up front, Frazier still with a buffer from Devin West, but West wants to get up there and win this race too, because he wants to build momentum towards the truck championship race at Phoenix, which he locked himself into. Caution's out.
And it's Ottenbacher and Marcy tangoing up this time. And with the way Ottenbacher's car was looking, that may have been coming.
Another look at it. They were battling. We're watching the battle earlier as you see Ottenbacher get up really close to the wall. Tyler King on the inside there. There's Marcy behind him. Ottenbacher on the outside in that bright green car. Ooh, one car got loose there. Denny in front of him, and Ottenbacher just got loose and came down in front of Marcy. Just had to chase it down the track, and unfortunately Marcy was there.
So that brings us back at our yellow. And this may be money stop time, or money stop range at least. Let's see who goes towards Wesley. The answer is everybody, as Bryson nearly juked himself into the pit wall.
And Tidrick stayed out. BJ Tidrick stayed out.
Tidrick stays out on the racetrack, guys, and here comes everyone else. But yeah, man, Sean Brightsman really took a gamble there. Thought he was going to hit the inside pit wall entrance there, but he keeps on, rolls onto the pit lane. And yes, with 30 laps to go, I believe this could be the money stop, unless we are plagued by more visits by the Banana Republic flag. Tidrick, Lowther also stayed on track. Bryce Clark is also on. Those three cars stay on course. Lake Peterson. Here comes Seth Frazier. He's off pit lane in the 32, but not before the other drivers of Like. Peterson, West, Frazier, then Raz, Wrightsman, Devin West, Josh Childress, your top 10 as they come off pit lane. Gentlemen, BJ Tidrick, what a strategy. We'll have to find out what's going on with the 72. He's trying to win a race, and he's got Dan Lowther, the number 4 seed, right behind him.
And Bryce Clark also missed the pit lane with the significant damage. We may see him come back down to serve some damage repair. But here's one thing to keep in mind, Greg, and it was talked about by BJ Tidrick. He felt for him to win this championship, he needed to be on a different cycle. This may be that call right here for him and Lowther.
This is the Hail Mary right now. Remember, Tidrick and Lowther on the same communications with Seth Frazier as well. And they knew, especially after the hit to the wall by Lowther there on that last green flag run, they knew they had to go for it now. This is it. Tidrick taking a gamble, a page out of Brightsman's playbook. And Tidrick hold on for 30 more laps.
That's going to be the tough part. And the big thing's going to be, too, if they can hold on, where do they go? And can they get the positions back with the way this race has been going?
And, man, that's, I think, playing a role in this decision by Tidrick to take this gamble, because he's seen how long and how often the cautions have been. But the way they're clicking away, Tidrick thinking, hey, this might be my shot if I stay out here.
And Bryce Clark has elected to stay out, Wesley.
Hey guys, so here it is. I just literally went down to communications with Dan Lowther and BJ Tidrick, and this is what they said. Seth Frazier even told them, guys, ride it out. You've already made your last pit stop the pit before. Ride it out. You can go to the finish, do whatever you need to do to stay at the front and try to win the championship. That is why Lowther and Tidrick did what they did.
And we'll see how this works out, especially since the fresh tires are 4th on back, and Bryce Clark with significant damage is in 3rd, so it gives him a buffer car here too. The Hagel Racing car trying something different after being several times lapped today. It's Tidrick and Lowther in control of the field. 24 laps total on their stints. Green flags out, back off and away. Oh, and stack up on the bottom of the racetrack behind Bryce Clark. Several cars trying to get around him. That completely messed up the bottom line.
Clark has connection issues. Bryce Clark had connection issues right there on the start. That's what happened. And that is huge for BJ Tidrick, because now he's got a big lead and a big buffer. Brightsman and Frazier, though, are made their way through. Now it's just them and Lake Peterson, but neither of them have been able to get around Peterson. BJ Tidrick with a big restart there. Can he hold on? Peterson's closing. We have not seen a green flag pass for the lead yet. Here in the closing stages, it's going to take one now to win the championship.
26 to go this time, as now Brightsman looking to get himself around Lake Peterson. Frazier, though, over the back bumper. Top 4 stacking up as Peterson with the slide. Peterson gets loose.
Big slide.
And a caution is down to the back of the field.
Carl Burke spun.
And Brock Denny, believe, may have been able to check up. We'll have to see, as Burke is crashing the pit entry.
Oh, I think he got the water barrels.
Let's take a look.
Happened off of turn number 4. On the dog leg. Definitely hair above him. I believe that's Caden Anderson there. Right there, contact.
That might have been Brock.
Denny.
Yeah, that's Brock Denny. As Burke loops it around all the way inside the pit wall. And nearly noses it for good measure.
Joshua Marcy has called it the season and has loaded up on the trailer, calling it a night. Now, going to be 25 laps to go, and Tidrick catches the first break he needed. Caution is out once again as the time limit continues to tick, 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 tick away. Tidrick might be sweating bullets right now.
That time period, estimated 20 minutes. We can get that in, is the main key thing to emphasize, as long as we don't need all the GWCs. That's where it gets nerve-wracking with 24 laps to go this time by.
That's a big concern for these drivers right now. want this thing to not go to overtime.
Or become precautions for a good 5-10 minutes, and that's where you can chew up the time for sure.
And that's what BJ Tidrick's going to want. Tidrick's thinking to himself, no, man, keep doing that as many times as you can. Just keep it coming. Yellow flag the rest of the way. I don't care. Tidrick wants that. If you're Breitzman or Frazier, you want this thing to go green, at least so you can get up in front of the others.
It's to the point where the flashbulbs are starting to go off in the virtual crowd here at Phoenix Raceway. But keep in mind, your playoff drivers are now in the lead. Tidrick, Breitzman third, Frazier fourth. Dan Lowther has got himself back to ninth with the caution flags. He is also remembering the same strategy as Tidrick. At this point, they need a longer run for something to work on fresher tires if they are going to try the counter. For Dan Lowther, he might have to come down again at this point.
Lowther has damage also on that 63. You got to remember that. But here's my follow-up to that with the green flag run to make the fresh tires work. Every time you throw the green flag, that's a heat cycle. What point does it get to the point that it's plateaued and done with that advantage? That's what Tidrick's hoping for right now.
We get the green flag estimated about 22 to 21 laps to go. You have to wonder what Sean Breitzman and Seth Frazier have to be thinking at this point, Greg.
We know what Seth Frazier's thinking. He said he was the one who convinced Lowther and Tidrick to go for it there. You know, he just doesn't really care if it's him or not. He just wants a Team Ramrod victory. For Breitzman, he's thinking about that strategy call. I don't think we've seen the last pit stop yet.
We'll see. 22 to go when the green flag flies this time. Keep an eye on Blake Peterson on the outside of the front row. He's been quick all day. Sean Breitzman, Seth Frazier fighting for second in the championship right behind BJ Tidrick in row 2. Cole Raz is in 5th. Josh Childress has recovered to a top 10 position again with Devin West. Casey Garber, Dan Lowther, Dan West Jr. currently rounding out your top 10. 17 cars are now left on circuit. Out of the race, Denny, Clark, Marcy, Ottenbacher, Stabnow, Walters, Beal, Hutchinson, Bozier. Off and away goes Tidrick.
Big start.
And a poor launch for Peterson.
And unfortunately, that's not what Tidrick wanted to see because his buffer is gone, and he's got Sean Breitzman behind him now into number 46. And Frazier's kind of pinned back there between Raz and Peterson as they try to fight back on Breitzman. Remember, Breitzman's car has been really good on the short run, but after about 5 laps or so, if we can stay green for 5 laps, that's when Frazier's car comes in. BJ Tidrick did not want to see that out of Peterson. Problems! That'll help him as the caution is going to come out again. King and West get together.
Chris White also being forced to check up amongst the chaos down the front stretch as we're back under yellow again with under 20 to go, and time is now a factor.
So BJ Tidrick in the 72. In the way, Breitzman second. Take a look at the swag replay. What happened on this restart? Went off of turn number 4. King breaks loose. West right there. Pile in.
Wow. Some of them treated like absolute pinballs there with no chance to bounce around proper. Carl Burke on board. Take a listen. And crunch, crunch, crunch.
So 20 laps to go in the scheduled distance. Time ticking away. Tidrick leads, Breitzman second, Frazier third, Lowther needs a miracle at this point.
Stephen Paulson, rather, Chris White, Dan West Jr., Tyler King, the cards involved all came down to pick Carl Burke. Elected to stay out this time. Keep in mind that there is an incident limit in this series where drivers, if they reach 20 incident points today, must serve a penalty under green. Then disqualification, 24 incident points. some of the drivers may be getting towards that mark at this rate. But the way things are shaping out and how tight it's getting for some of these cars, or at least you'd have to think. $18 to go. Green flag expected, 16 to go.
Now, Hedrick will have the control on the restart, but Brightsman is behind him. Right now, Tidrick's hoping that whatever was that happened to Lake Peterson on that restart happens to Brightsman on that on this next.
Hearing that time is being shown at approximately 16 minutes or so on the clock at the moment. Keep that in mind, about 16 minutes or so per official total on the clock. If we go green or even have one or two more caution flags, time is no problem. Past that mark, though, it becomes of the essence. So remember that for your calculations for those keeping track at home. Also keep in mind that 20 lap older tires are on BG Tidrick's car than Sean Brightsman. Seth Frazier has been cycled to 4th. Dan Lowther has lost more positions, is in 11th. Your LSRTV best of the rest contenders, Devin West is in 6th. Caden Anderson is still chugging along in 10th.
It was close between them. We didn't have the exact total entering, but we knew it was close between them. It was going to come down ultimately to whoever finished in front of the other. But Caden Anderson with a lot of damage. Devin West, clean as a whistle, but he has had to recover from a penalty.
Dan West Jr. has not come back on the racetrack near as Brock Denny on this caution flag period. We're down to 16 cars running. All of them are on the lead lap. Denny with technical issues. Dan West Jr. with significant damage.
That's going to end the night for Denny. 64 looks like he will be credited with an 18th place finish.
Several more drivers still getting damage repair in the double-digit minutes mark. 16 to go. Top 3. Check that 3 of your top 4 are championship contenders. Who will take home the title? We'll have to see with 16 to go, and now they're sandwiching. Green flags down as Cole Raz slammed into the back end of Peterson's car.
Brightsman keying up on the radio, giving his thoughts to Raz there. As Tidrick able to clear Brightsman. Watch for the crossover from Brightsman. Goes up top. I thought he was going to go to the inside, and Tidrick took it away from him. But Brightsman has the outside here. We know how strong the 46 car is on those fresher tires on the start of the run. Frazier trying to fight. They made contact.
Oh, and they're wrecking Lake Peterson around. And we're back under yellow again. Brightsman with damage to the back end of the 46 as well from the checkup after he got loose.
This is going to change the entire complexion of the race. Swag replay on screen. Watch what happens here between the 32 and the 09. Right here, the battle for third. They go off in there. Now, Brightson's going to break loose right up in front of him, and right at the exact same time, there's Brightsman breaking loose, and there's the contact between Peterson and Frazier, and I think Frazier got in the back of Brightsman.
Unfortunate for Lake Peterson after being up at the front all race. Now is in 16th with 14 laps to go. And now, with 14 laps to go, the gloves may start to really come off for this championship.
Oh, it's on now, Justin. It's on.
Justin. So I just went up a moment ago and was talking with the Northwest iRacing Series officials, and they said that one of the problems that this race has had is the cars just do not have grip to the racetrack. That's why a lot of these drivers have been making all the pit stops that they do. But you got to remember, when you put on these new sets of tires, you're putting on new slicks, and it's making your car loose, and we're seeing this exchange happen. But then they're thinking if he's making these pit stops, then so be it. But basically the conversation was, if we reach the time limit, they don't want it to come to that, but if it does, the white flag will be displayed, and then the race will be considered official. if the time limit is reached. So these guys definitely are very surprised with this turnout of the race as well here at Phoenix. And I got to think, Greg, will the truck race be like this in 2 weeks?
We'll have to see on that one. That's definitely something that they're probably going to have to adjust, but I don't think that'll be the problem because remember the Truck Series is open setups here.
That's
they
right.
can
Yep.
tweak whatever they want. Cup Series, they're on the fixed setup and they're on a relatively old setup, so not sure what is going to happen here. And Justin, here's an interesting point. Wesley mentioned there's no grip in the track right now. You know who that benefits right now? BJ Tidrick and Seth Frazier.
Yep.
Here's why. Northwest Tour, these guys who are admins of that series, they like these cars, no grip. They like it slipping and sliding around. They prefer this kind of driving. By the way, Seth Frazier's the defending champion of that series.
What would it mean if he can get up towards the front? But the top 3 on championship contenders at the seat. Hearing 10 minutes is the number that's on the clock, with 12 to go. So, as the lights are out on top of the iRacing pace car, it is Tidrick and Brightsman, Frazier and Devin West, Cole Raz and Josh Childress, Yee and Garber, Anderson O'Hare. Lowther is the last of the championship contenders in 11th. Lake Peterson, after being contender much of the race, in for the race lead, is 15th. Do you expect some major defense here from Tidrick again?
Oh yeah, he doesn't have a choice now. He's got to go on defense as soon as he gets clear of Brightsman because he knows Brightsman and Frazier, they're on fresher tires, but Tidrick knows the way this has gone, if he can just stay in front of that 46 as long as he can, it might work out for him. 11 laps to go when we take the green flag here. Have we seen the last caution? Have we seen the last round of pit stops?
Green flags back out. BJ Tidrick with an good launch off and away. Now it's the matter of can he hold on for 11 more miles?
Frazier trying to get up there. Devin West peeking his nose up there for the first time on the outside in the podium. Brightsman got the run to the inside. That's what Brightsman needed. In the number 46 to the inside of Tidrick. They're going to fight back on the outside.
And this is for the championship. 10 to go this time. Getting loose is Brightsman. Tidrick gets loose. Side by side down the front straightaway as Brightsman backs it up. Tidrick way out of the groove, way to the rubble. Sean Brightsman to the race lead with 9.5 laps to go.
Brightsman takes the lead in the hunt for the championship, but look at Frazier going 3 wide on Devin West. Frazier saw that happen and realized it's time to go into number 32. Seth Frazier going to give it all he's got now in the 32 to try to get up there to Brightsman as he gets a 2 for 1. Tidrick breaks loose. He's going to fall back. West trying to fight off for third, and now Frazier has to set his sights on Brightsman as Tidrick with a big charge in front of West. These guys are giving it everything they've got right now, and now with Tidrick falling into the clutches of West, looks like it's down to Brightsman and Frazier. Does Frazier have enough time?
Coming up to 8 laps to go. 26.9s as these drivers look to scrap it out. Tidrick has already lost about nearly a full second to the top 2 cars. He lost half a second last time by as they all stack up behind him with 7 laps to go this time. Frazier needs to close up 4 tenths and quick.
He's doing it though. A nice run through turn 3 by Frazier. Brightsman, though, going on defense now. Has to do it. He needs to go on defense. 4 tenths of a second, still the gap. Drivers relatively even right now. Frazier just 1/100th faster that time by. As Tidrick continues to fight with West behind him. Frazier doing everything in his power to catch up to Brightsman.
BJ Tidrick has conceded the 3rd position to Devin West as the caution is out.
And we are in overtime area now, Justin.
Paulison, Raz, several others involved. And now it gets fun.
Does anybody pit?
We'll see the cause of the caution flag. This was a battle for position inside the top 10.
Garber slides up into Raz, who had damage, and all of a sudden Cole Raz caught up in it, aisled in by Paulison. Bowder squeaked through there, just trying to chug along and hang on for everything he's got to try to salvage something here if something happens in that 63 car.
Significant damage as a result to Cole Raz, who was an air front runner all day, but now, as to no one's surprise, none of the top contenders for the title elect to pit. Even Dan Lowther does not pit. He was in 13th. Lowther, the last drivers who did not come down. But now it essentially comes down to one restart, potentially, to decide a champion, Greg.
We are in the final few minutes of the time limit into green-white checkered territory. Oh boy. 5 minutes left on the clock. 5 laps left in the race. Oh boy.
And with that, it comes down, Wesley, to one restart. Overall, how do you take that in, especially with the championship coming down now to just 2 laps to decide it?
Katie, bar the door, gentlemen. This is going to be the restart of the year right here, of the season. You've got these 2 drivers, Brightsman and Frazier. They're going to give it everything they've got. Tidrick is still in the catbird seat. We'll see what happens with him on that restart. Will he go with Frazier on the outside lane, or will he leave him hung out to dry? Those 3 drivers right now going to have the restart of their life in overtime. Closing in, the time coming to an end. This is going to be one shootout we do not want to miss.
This is looking like it may be a natural GWC, keep in mind.
Yeah.
We are approaching 3 laps to go this time, so we aren't in the GWC allotment yet. So keep that in mind as well.
Which means,
and honestly, if they go to overtime, I think the race will be over. I don't think they can do it.
Yeah, it might be in that situation. Although in some cases it could come down to 1 lap shootouts. We'll have to see if that indeed comes in. But if you're Seth Frazier, how do you do this, Greg?
You got to pinch Brightsman down right on the restart. You got to pinch him down and hope that he can't use the apron he can't use the dog leg to his advantage. You have to pinch him down as much as you can. The good news for Brightsman is you have that open dog leg, so you have that advantage for you. But for Frazier, just got to take away as much track as you can.
And Brightsman can't spin the tires.
Yeah, this is going to be critical. If anything happens with them, keep in mind BJ Tidrick is still in 4th spot, and Devin West, who is still in that LSR TV best of the rest contention, could come away with a victory. Again, it's whoever finishes in front of whomever for the overall series championship. Brightsman and Frazier are on the front row to decide who will come home with the Northwest Cup Series title. For Seth Frazier, he's been dominant on the short tracks throughout the campaign. For Sean Brightsman, he's the winningest driver in the series and the winningest driver in the history of the Northwest Racing Series. Who will take home the title? Pace car is off.
Frazier's going to pinch. Green flag, this is it.
Off and away, 2 miles to decide it from Phoenix.
Brightsman with a big jump over Frazier, and Frazier's going to give it all he's got, trying to reel him in there on the outside.
Brightsman got a little bit loose down the back straightaway. 1/10 of a second separates them. Coming to the white flag. If they take the race as official, it's Brightsman trying to hold on to a little bit of
Garber's loose. Garber's loose. He saved it. No, he spins.
He's off the racing surface.
The caution came out. The caution came out. That could end it. The caution came out 50 feet before they got to the line. That could be it.
Wow.
And what a time for the caution to come out. Minute 40 on the clock. Let's take a look at the reason for the caution flag.
Right there. There's the initial contact. Garber slide. He was off the racing surface. His snap back and right there. Just enough to trigger a caution just before they crossed the line.
And
guys, I think this is the race. I really do.
I think it's over. I think it's over.
I really think it's over. I really do.
drivers already congratulating Sean Brightsman on the radio. And while it's not the way you want a championship to finish on time, Greg, it's still one that you have to say is a stellar one for Sean Brightsman. Winningest driver of the campaign. Likely ends up getting his 10th victory of the season. If indeed this is indeed the case we're thinking here. But as well for him, one where he had to win his way in to have a shot at the title.
Talk about clutch. The win at Texas. Must-win territory. Got it done. And now, we believe he's coming to see the checkered flag.
Waiting for official.
Don't this remind you of the NASCAR Cup Series and Chase Elliott? Chase Elliott.
It absolutely does. Clock has reached 0.
White flag has been displayed. Sean Brightsman. CRN1 to go on screen. Not the way we want championship to end, but it's a championship, Sean Brightsman.
We'll see for sure. Drivers expecting the checkered, but for Sean Brightsman, entered tonight with 9 victories on the season. And what was a turbulent championship run in the West Bay Napa Auto Parts playoffs. Came in clutch at Texas. And now, after what was a wild one at Phoenix, coming through the final corner, is ready to potentially celebrate. For Sean Brightsman in the Brights Boutique Toyota Camry, he'll be able to have the chance to celebrate. He is your Northwest Cup Series champion as checkered flag waves up at the stand with the 1 to go signal coming up. Lights are still off. Hold on.
We're going to go for it.
They're going to go for it.
We're going to get one final shot. We are going to get one final shot. We thought it was over.
Oh, boy.
And the lights went out on the pace car.
So, guys, here's the only scenario. And we saw this happen, me and Charles, the producer.
This may be the same situation here.
This may be what we see, yeah.
And if this is the situation, we'll see how this plays out.
If not, this is going to be one hell of a wild last lap.
See what happens. We'll know it when they go off into turn 1 if they're still at speed.
Waiting here as Seth Frazier gets bumped and pushed along. Green flag is now up. And now off and away to the stripe. Sean Brightsman brings them to turns 1 and 2. They will get that one lap. Now Sean Brightsman, 9 victories coming into tonight. Had to win his way in at Texas. And now, as they
Frazier's going to charge.
As Frazier tries one more charge, Brightsman will take home a title. He wins the Northwest Cup Series championship over Seth Frazier.
One final charge from Frazier in the turn 3, and Brightsman still holds on. We have our champion.
I think it's awesome that they let him run that last lap, boys. I think it would have been disappointing to end it under caution.
Yep, I agree with you. Confusing end, yes. But at the same time, a deserved championship for the 46. All-time winner in Northwest Racing Series history, closes it out with double-digit victories.
And gets it done. Your 2020 champion of Northwest Cup Series, the first ever Northwest Cup Series champion, Sean Brightsman, celebrating here. And it's a big one.
A lot to digest after tonight as he burns it on down after what was A perplexing race with multiple caution flags, and in the end, a wild end to this one. Sean Brightsman takes home the victory by 0.3 of a second.
All drivers fighting for the championship, gentlemen, finished in the top 10 as well.
Let's take a look at those results. As Seth Frazier came home in second today, and what was an entertaining one for sure. Sean Brightsman by 0.381 seconds. Check that 8-2 to the nearest 10,000. Devin West rounded out the top three with BJ Tedrick in fourth. Tyler King, Stephen O'Hara, Lake Peterson, Dan Lowther, Justin Yee, Caden Anderson, your top 10, Greg.
As Team LSR TV bulls in the Sean Brightsman as a congratulations. Stephen Paulson comes home in 11th. Cole Raz in 12th. Chris White and Carl Burke round out the drivers on the lead lap. Josh Childress 15th. Casey Garber 16th. Harris West Jr., Brock Denny, John Ottenbacher, your top 20.
21st goes to Bryce Clark. Joshua Marcy finishes 36 laps down in 22nd. Jeff Stabnow, Corey Walters, Joshua Beal, Scott Hutchinson, Ricky Belcher all did not finish their TNSs. Cheney, Moore, and Weaver. Post-race coverage coming up in just a few moments. You're watching LSR TV for the Northwest Cup Series, where Sean Brightsman is your champion. Welcome back to LSR TV's coverage of the Northwest Cup Series. This post-race is going to be interesting after what was an intriguing race, to say the very least, for the finale for the West Bay Napa Auto Parts playoffs. Justin Prince alongside Greg Rentz, Wesley Ellen in the pits, with Charles Wooden in the director's seat throughout the night. Standing by is our third place finisher for the race. Among the contenders for the LSR TV Best for the West, for the best of the rest, rather, Devin West is with Wesley Outland.
Yeah, Devin West will finish on the podium here tonight at Phoenix, and he is unofficially, which I say will be official here very soon, the LSR TV Best of the Rest champion. Did everything he needed to do to lock that crazy race here tonight at Phoenix. Devin, what's your take on it and finishing third?
It was a good race. Fun to be up there and watch those guys battle it out. Have the best seat in the house. As far as I know, I think I lost the best race. I think I beat Caden by 10 spots, and he got 10th somehow. I don't know how, but if I did win, then sweet. But and it was a good race all around. Good season. Definitely cool to be in the best of the rest with Caden there and have such a close race for that, the money there and the championship. So hope it was a good show, even with the long race there.
And again, that's why I did say the word unofficial, because it was not official just yet. But Devin, what is your take of this year, man? Just crazy way to end it here tonight at Phoenix with outcome of the way things turned out. But what can you say about how the 2020-2021 season's been for you with the Northwest Cup Series team?
It's been awesome. I think this league continues to show us a week just how good it is, all the way from the competitors. And I mean, just the level of competition in this league is almost unmatched. And the guys that run this league, Jeff, Sean, they do an awesome job. Every single week, put in a lot of time, and it shows. I mean, unfortunately, that night like tonight with the track was just I mean, it's a tough track, and when the track's that slick and these cars are so hard to drive, even nights like this, wish I could have raced it out a little harder, but it was a good season to get a few wins here. I wish I could have gotten a little earlier in the playoffs, but hopefully next year we'll carry the momentum and get a lot more.
And one more question, and then I'll let you thank sponsors as well in a segue. Can you take anything from this race tonight to prepare you for the Truck Series finale coming up here in 2 weeks on Thursday?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, anytime you go around 200 laps on the racetrack, you're going to have to go compete at a high level at. That definitely never hurts. And definitely, I'm patience. I mean, I started 21st, got to top 5, wrecked, back in 20-something, wrecked again. I mean, I came from 20-something on the spot to finish 3rd like 4 times, I swear. So just patience and how to get around this track, and the outside lane works for anything it would.
All right, that's the thought. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, no, sorry. I just want to thank my sponsors, Kinsey Custom Hardwood, Washington Supply, Effective Web Solutions, Advanced Automotive. Those guys all help me out in real life and in virtual reality, so thanks to them.
That's Devin West, driver of the number 5 machine. He will settle for 3rd, up 18 spots at the checkered flag, starting 21st to finish 3rd here tonight at Phoenix. Greg Rance is standing by with the runner-up and the runner-up of the championship as well. Car number 32 gave it all he had. That's Seth Frazier.
And Seth, a great battle from start to finish between you and Brightsman. You guys were right there with each other that entire race. But tell us about at the end there when Tidrick and Lowther stayed out with about 30 laps to go, because it was told to us that you were the one that actually encouraged them to stay out there and try to go for the championship. So tell us about what went into that decision as a team building up to that last run.
I think for them, they had to try something to get the track position. Track position was so important tonight. Tires weren't nearly as big a deal as they are in most races, so they had to try to do something to have a chance at it.
All right, well, Seth, tell us about the battle with Brightsman all race long. From the drop of the green flag, you were battling it out with Brightsman and got out front of him for a while. He got back around you, then you got back around him. You guys were trading it the entire time for the championship. So tell us about just overall that battle with Brightsman there.
Well, I think all season long, Brightsman's been the guy to beat every race. So I knew I really didn't want to see Brightsman in the championship for. I knew once he was going to be in it, he was going to be the guy to beat tonight. So I was just trying to stay ahead of him where I could and pressure him to make a mistake, but he doesn't make very many.
Well, Seth, tell us about the end of the race when you and Sean are lined up side by side. Saw you trying to pinch Brightsman down for everything that you had. Was that just the last-ditch Hail Mary there to try to hold on?
With how terrible some of these guys in the back are and how many cautions they're causing, you got to try something on these short runs where we have a caution every 2 laps. So you just had to try something with Brightsman. He's not going to make any mistakes, like I said. So I had to try something with these guys in the back, just stepping on their whatever every 5 laps.
That's definitely a frustrating end to the season, but a great season for you as well, winning, I believe, 5 races on the season here and a championship berth, finishing 2nd on the year. A chance to thank your sponsors on the 2nd place.
I just want to thank LSRTV for broadcasting this, and Sean and Jeff and everybody for all the time the admins put into that. That's a really thankless job what the admins do. They put up with a lot of crap just so everyone else can have a place to race, so thank you to them.
2nd place, Seth Frazier. Congratulations on a great season. We'll see you in Daytona. Believe that Justin Prince has made his way down and caught up with the champion, Sean Brightsman.
Yes, indeed. And Sean, you've done it. 10 victories on the campaign. You are the 2020-2021 Northwest Cup Series champion in the West Bay Napa Auto Parts playoffs. How does it feel to be a champion?
Oh God, it feels relieved right now because this was a battle. Team Ramrod brought it. BJ, Seth, Dan, this whole season. I mean, this Northwest Tour guys that came over just really upped the game of our fixed series here, and to win this series and take home the championship, I'm kind of speechless. I think instead of going to Disneyland, I'm going to go to Universal Studios.
That's an interesting decision, but either way, it was an interesting race, to put it lightly, where 23 cautions came out. How difficult was this race to plan out with so many cautions?
I mean, it wasn't too difficult to plan out. I mean, with as many cautions that happened, it was almost, stay out as long as you can until there was enough, tire used. So unfortunately, it wasn't one of our best races, which I would have loved to see a lot more green flag and a lot more strategy there. But it's kind of what happens sometimes when people don't practice or put in the time to turn laps here.
Now, the next question is, of course, winningest driver in the history of the Northwest Racing Series, champion now for 2020 in the Cup Series. Where does the focus now lie for you in the Northwest Racing Series, of course, especially with the Truck Series finale coming up?
Right now, it's enjoy this championship for the next couple days, and then work on the Truck Series so I can go for a championship here in 2 weeks. So I still have one race left here in the Truck Series to try to make it into the playoffs or to the championship race, and still going to be hunting for that.
Anything you can take from tonight for that race?
No, just the tough part is we don't know what Phoenix is going to be like for the trucks, since we're a race behind in the Truck Series. So we're going to Texas. It's just going to be a battle. That's really calm the nerves, battle, run smooth and consistent laps. Really, it's going to be the biggest thing to help me in the Truck Series.
Anyone you want to thank for your championship run this season?
Absolutely. I got to give it up to my wife and her business, Brights Boutique. Check it out at etsy.com/shop/Brights Boutique. I got to give it up to our playoff sponsor, championship sponsor, West Bay Auto Parts. Give it up to LSR TV for being our broadcaster all season long and hopefully into the near future. I got to give it to our other sponsors, of course, that make things happen. So Walls Beard Co., Central Welding Supply, Blenders, just everybody in the Northwest Racing Series for coming out and racing this series and making it as difficult and as happy and high as I am in excitement for winning this championship. It really, thank you to you guys for coming out and racing us as hard as you do, and most time as clean as you guys do. So thanks to the Northwest Tour guys.
Congratulations on the championship, Sean.
Thank you, Justin.
Sean Brightsman, your Northwest Cup Series champion. Final thoughts, first things first, Wesley, over to you.
Well, congratulations again to Sean Brightsman. It has been a long journey. We talked about the Cinderella matchup that he had to do. He had to turn around and win one of the races. He did that at Texas. He turns around and wins here at Phoenix. So very eventful race, caution field. So many scenarios, so many storylines, things that could have been done here. I know it was a long event, but the best of the best, I think, is the man that hoists the championship, as you said, Justin, and that is Sean Brightsman. Congratulations to him. All the other drivers, what a great attaboy efforts by, Seth Frazier and, of course, Dan Lowther and BJ Tidrick. Everyone all had a storyline in this race, having a shot to strategize and do whatever they could. Just came up short. It's going to be interesting to see how the Truck Championships plays out. We have the penultimate race at Texas this upcoming Thursday, and then the championship next Thursday right here at Phoenix, and we'll find out what goes on. In closing, gentlemen, it has been a privilege and honor and pleasure virtually to be your pit reporter throughout this ride, and looking forward to next season, however it ends up, whether we stay with Cup Cars or move to another program. I've enjoyed it. Justin, Greg, best of the business in iRacing, in my opinion. Thanks to Charles Wooten, LSR TV. It's always a great group of people to work with as well, and looking forward to what comes down the road.
Looking forward to it as well. And Greg, of course, talked about a little bit a truck championship to decide coming up as well for the Northwest Racing Series. Your thoughts on tonight and the transition to the trucks to close things out there?
Man, And what an incredible race here tonight at Phoenix. It was a long one for sure, and we want to thank you guys for sticking around in this one because it was a long race, and we definitely had our share of interesting moments here, not just tonight, but all season long. It was an awesome season here. It was my first one here with the Northwest Racing Series, and hopefully I get to come back because I had an absolute blast working with you guys all season long. We're done with the Cup Series, but yeah, like you just mentioned, we're not done with the Truck Series. We got 2 more races to go. We got Texas this Thursday night and a championship race right back here at Phoenix next week to determine it. 2 spots are already clinched, those being Dan West Jr. and Devin West. 2 spots still on the line, 6 drivers still to determine that one. That's coming up Thursday night here on LSR TV to determine the final 2 spots here of the playoffs in the Truck Series. Make sure you set a reminder for that one. We'll see you guys Thursday night. I'm looking forward to it.
I'd like to thank everyone for tuning in throughout the entire campaign for what has been a thrilling season with many different crazy moments, 3, 4, even sometimes 5 wide battles, and in the end, a well-deserving champion in Sean Brightsman. He is your 2020-2021 Northwest Cup Series champion. We'd like to thank everyone for tuning in and like to thank once again my fellow crew members and broadcasters Greg Rentz, Leslie Owen, and Charles Wooden for all the work they have done throughout this campaign. But it's time to say goodbye one final time this season. I'm Justin Prince saying so long. Enjoy the rest of your night. Sean Brightsman is your Northwest Cup Series champion.
This broadcast is the copyrighted work of LSR TV and may not be rebroadcast, retranslated, or used in any form without the express written consent of 52 Media LLC and iRacing.com Motorsports Simulations. LSR TV would like to thank you for